Hi guys, it's Sam from Made by Ireland. I think I'm live. Once again I'm gonna check. If you're rewatching this, you're probably thinking, why is she always checking? Shouldn't this be just acceptable by now that you just know what you're doing? And it should be, but I'm not gonna lie, I am so bad with technology that every single time I freak out. I'm sure I'm live right now and I'm sure it's happening, but I don't trust it. I've got a notification saying that I'm live. Oh, I can see myself live. Yay! So I am live. Hi, guys. Just again. Oh, why do I hear myself talking? That was awkward. I don't know if you guys heard that. So I had myself open on YouTube in the background. I didn't realize I had it open on my laptop as well. So the sound was coming through. But anyway, it's Sam from Made by Ireland, if you didn't already know. Today I wanted to, today is New Year's Eve here in Australia. Sorry, I'm getting comfy. I'm like, I'm going to be here for a while. May as well get comfy. So it's New Year's Eve today in Australia. It's also my partner Charlie's birthday. Oh, hi, Milena. I was literally just messaging Milena just before, so I shouldn't be surprised she's here. I'm just grateful someone's here when I start talking. So, yes, so I am here. It's Charlie's birthday today. My partner is a New Year's Eve birthday boy. And yeah, I wanted to round off this year talking about bag pattern testing. It's something I've wanted to talk about for a while. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for joining us. I've been really lucky. I've been a bag tester for a fair few designers now. Obviously, I test a lot with Sophisticated. I'm one of their mods. I've been lucky enough to also help Jassy, Jen, and Nikki, the other two mods, also help choose our next testers, our guest testers for tests coming up. So I thought now's a good time to talk about bag pattern testing because I've had people message me asking about it. Is it worth doing? Why do you do it? What do you get from it? If you follow some of the bag making Facebook groups, there's a lot of posts asking and talking about what do you get physically from bag pattern testing? Should we be getting more? And there's a lot of discussions about bag pattern testing. So I thought, why not just come on and give, my perspective. For those of you who don't know me, I started bag making just about 2 years ago. So I'm a relatively new bag maker. I'm also a relatively new sewist. So I taught myself how to sew during COVID lockdowns, like a lot of us. Good morning, Jassy. Jassy's here as well. And I've been very lucky. I think I made my first bag, I want to say around January, February of 2023. Yes, Savannah was already born. Yep, 2023. So only about, 18 months ago. And I don't know what confidence came over me, but I decided to apply to be a bag tester for Sophisticated Craft for my first bag test in April. And I got it and became a bag tester straight away. I've just realized Nikki is here in the background wanting to join in. So Nikki wasn't sure if she'd make it. So she's here. So I'll quickly jump her in as well. Hi, Nikki. Oh, you're tiny. There we go. That's better.
Hi.
Hi, good to have you. So I was just starting to talk about my testing experience. So I only started April last year. So the Sassy was my first ever test, not just with Sophisticated, but in general. Every single test I've applied for so far, I've gotten. I'm not going to lie, I am picky with who I choose to test for because I don't have a lot of time. So it is it is a pick and choose game for me. But that's why I thought I'd come and talk about it because I've been a nobody tester is nobody tested the right word? That's not what I mean. But like, I've been someone who's never tested before trying to get a position. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I've tested for multiple designers. I've applied for multiple designers. I've decided not to test for some, not because I've never had a bad testing experience. I've been really lucky. I don't think I've ever had a bad testing experience. I've just had tests where I've realized this isn't the type of testing for me. So, yeah, so I thought, why not come on and talk about it? I know a lot of people want to be testers or are, I guess, curious about testing. So why not come on and talk about it and, yeah, have an open dialogue?
Yeah. I just want to make sure, is my microphone okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, fabulous. I was literally 2 minutes too late to get connected before the stream started.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't think you'd get here this early.
yeah, I didn't either, to be honest. Sorry, everyone.
So
But
Nikki was putting her
yeah.
little boy to bed, so it's my fault. I decided to do this right on bedtime. So, but we made it.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure there wasn't like any weird feedback because I'm using my AirPods today. So,
No,
yeah.
everything sounds good from my end. Let us know in the
Cool.
comments if Nikki sounds weird, apart from, her accent.
My normal. Yeah, my usual.
Because the Australian accent's the normal now. But yeah, so I thought let's start with, should we start with what's good about testing?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. I'm like, yeah, so what I want to cover today. So let's talk about that first. So what I want to cover is the goods about like the pros, so why I like testing, the cons, why I don't like testing, how to become a tester, so like how to increase your chances, what's the best way to apply, that kind of thing. And I really want to talk about photos. I'm going to attempt to try and show you
Hmm.
guys how I edit it. I don't think my photos are amazing, but maybe it would help someone. I don't know. And yeah, the process, I guess. So
Yeah.
Nikki is a relatively new bag pattern tester. Oh, I say relatively new. You've still been bag pattern testing for like what, 6 months, 7 months, a year?
Uh, the sophisticated planner was the first bag that I tested, and I think that was November of last year.
Yeah, so you've been over a year now too.
So,
So you really should
yeah.
get rid of you and find something newer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm no longer really the newbie anymore. So,
But yeah, so okay. Well, let's start with what we like about bag pattern testing. So I know for me, one of the things that I really like is it pushes me out of my comfort zone. It forces
yeah,
me to do stuff that I wouldn't normally do.
yes,
Um, so that's a huge pro for me.
same.
Like, for example, personally, and no offense, because everyone knows I now love the bee hip, I would never, never had made the bee hip on my own if I wasn't a tester, only because I am not a fan of fanny packs, bum bags, whatever you want to call it. um, but my second ever test that I had to do with Jassy was the travel belt, which is a fanny pack, right? And I never would have done it because it's not my style. I don't wear fanny packs. But now it's one of my favorite bags. Like I make it all the time. The bee hip's one of my biggest sellers at the moment. And if I wasn't a tester, I wouldn't have even attempted or tried it. So that's a huge thing for me is trialing things that I wouldn't normally do. Um,
Yeah, for
yeah.
me too. And I have to be honest, I hate that I couldn't test the B hip because real life was happening, and I still haven't made it the 2.0. I have all three sizes printed. If you saw my stack of to be assembled patterns, it's like that thick.
And that's the thing when
um,
you're testing, you can't have that, oh, I will get to it at some point. It's you have to
right.
do it. There's a deadline.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So it kind of like gets rid of,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us have that, like as sewists, right? We all have like a little bit of like sewist procrastination. Like, I don't want to know how many patterns you have in your drawers slash in your computers that you've bought that you've never sewn, because I don't want to know how many I have. And to be honest,
Yeah.
that was one of the other cons, well, cons, not cons, pros. One of the reasons why I wanted to pattern test, actually. So when I first applied for the Sassy, never thought I would get it and didn't expect it would be the Sassy, because that bag is amazing. Like, I was so lucky that's my first test. But one of the first patterns I ever bought, so actually paid patterns, was the Fold and Zip backpack by Sophisticated Craft, obviously. um, I've sewn a few free patterns at that point. I was like grabbing free patterns everywhere. And I was looking for exactly that style of backpack, and I tried so hard, and I really did, Jassy. I'm so sorry. I really did try so hard to find something that I could do that wasn't the Fold and Zip because of the price. So the Fold and Zip, because I'm me, I can't decide on just one size. I had to get 3 sizes. The exchange rate for Australia at the time meant that it was going to cost me $50. And I was like, I'm paying $50 for a bag pattern. And then because at this point, making bags and selling wasn't even on my radar. Like, it was just for me. And I'm like, so if I'm spending $50 for the pattern, I'm spending another $50 on materials. That's $100 bag. I could go to the shops and buy a bag for $50, maybe 80 if I want to be a little bit fancy, you know? I'm like, what am I doing? And then I eventually gave in because I couldn't find anything like it. I couldn't. The Fold and Zip
Yeah.
backpack really is just that one of a kind, and I couldn't fault it. I've since made all 3 sizes now, so at least I've made my money's worth. Okay, I've made all 3 sizes. But yeah, and then so when the tester core came out, I was like, oh, I get a pattern for free. Like, as someone who is sewing as a hobby, I was like, that's a lot of money. Like, maybe not a
Yeah.
lot of money, but it's free. Well, yeah, free money. Like, I'm going to sew anyway. Why not sew and get something for it, right? And that's what convinced me to do it. Was I'm going to get a free pattern. Sorry, Jassy, that was literally what was on my mind at the time. I just wanted a free pattern. Um, but what I didn't realize was how much more you get from it when you actually participate in the testing experience. We'll talk a bit more about that a little bit later on. But like,
Yeah.
I genuinely think bag pattern testing, not just for Jassy, but for the other designers that I did as well, is what helped me become a bag maker as quickly as I've become. I don't want to sound like I've got a big head. I'm not sitting here like I'm the best bag maker in the world, but like, you hear
No,
people
like for
bag making for like a year and they still say I'm a beginner, and like, I think I'm confident enough to say that I'm advanced now, and I've only really been bag making for 2 years. So, and I really
yeah.
think like pattern testing is why, because I'm forced to do stuff that I wouldn't normally do, and I learn stuff from all the other bag makers that I'm being surrounded by. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny because the Fold and Zip was also my first sophisticated bag that I made. Um, the thing is it wasn't like the first bag that I had made. I had made like 3 bags prior to that. The thing is I knew I wanted to make the Fold and Zip. I bought it during the launch. I bought
Yeah.
the bundle during the launch, so it wasn't quite as expensive for me. And then obviously the US exchange rate too, but I have stuff flying off of my desk here. Sorry. And but I was so intimidated by it because I had literally made like a couple of zipper pouches and then a tote by the time I got the confidence, like the like finally like, okay, fine, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna work through this and I'm gonna get this bag made. Um, and it literally took me 3 weeks to make the bag because I was going so slow and being so particular about every single thing, every single step, and I was only sewing in the evening. I know like Melena's on, she's got kind of the same schedule that I had when I was making it, and I was sewing it as a surprise for my husband, um, and it was supposed to be our diaper bag. He stole it, and it is his. So, um, but it was kind of after that where I was like, "Oh my God, I made this!" Like
Yeah.
this amazing thing. And then, yeah, when the tester call came out for the planner, I was like, why not? How fun. Let's try it. Let's do it. Um, and yeah, for me, it like I learned so many different new skills that I wouldn't have otherwise done. I would have never made a planner cover otherwise. And right. And I've since made a couple that are for my own personal sketchbooks and that kind of thing. So I love it. Yeah. Um, it's the expanding the horizons of and kind of pushing your boundaries on what you're comfortable with. So coming from extensive sewing background and nothing to do with bags,
Yeah.
um, the the testing has been massive for my advancement in bag making. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And I think that's, yeah, that's, those are probably my biggest pros. I don't really think, like, obviously, like, yeah, I think those are my biggest pros. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, through testing, I became a moderator. I still don't know why Jesse pulled me out of the bunch, but obviously that's a huge pro. But for normal testing, I think those are the main pros I can think of. If anyone has any other pros that you can think of with testing, like let us know. But I think those for me are the main ones. With cons, my biggest con is obviously I am a huge yes person. I'm really bad at saying no. Um, so one of the cons for me is and this is a me problem. It's not an anyone else problem, because there's time frames to deal with. I will push everything in my life aside to test, even if it's to the detriment of myself. So that's a big con. So when it comes to testing, and that's something that anyone who is thinking about bag pattern testing or any other pattern testing, I guess, would be the same thing, is you have to think about with the schedule that you have, would it work? And I know that's something that a fair few of us have thought about. A lot of us are young mums, young kids, not us being young. We're all old. I'm sorry. Let's not go into the new year lying. But so, like, a lot of us have limited sewing schedules, right? A lot of us have full time jobs, we have businesses, we have, other commitments, just normal other commitments. So, it's
Hmm.
one thing to, before you put your hand up, to really think about, do I have the time commitment to do this? Because, yes, you're making a bag, and normally it might take you, say, 2 hours to make a standard bag, let's say, for example. When you're testing, it's not 2 hours, because when you're testing, you're literally having to go through word for word everything written. Like, those first couple of pages in the pattern instructions that no one ever reads. Like, don't lie to me and tell me you read those. You have to read it.
Yeah.
Like, everything has to be read, everything has to be scrutinized. One of the things that I do, and I don't think many of us do it, but I cut from Cutlass. Like, I like to cut from Cutlass. One of the things I do is I print out all of the measurements of all the pattern pieces in different files, and I hold them side by side and I cross check them all, and then I convert the imperial to metrics to make sure the conversions are right. Like, I go full. So a two
Yeah.
hour make is really like, I don't know, like a 5 hour make, maybe even longer,
Yeah.
if there's nothing
Okay.
wrong with the pattern.
Yeah. So, for example, I was recently looking at just kind of trying to estimate time to make the Odyssey pack, right? So,
Yeah.
the Odyssey pack is a very straightforward, relatively simple square. Like, I use it, I make it as a lunch bag. And I was like, okay, hmm, I think I'd probably do that maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours max. Like, let me go look at the tester blog. Let me just see, like, what did we all estimate when we made that? Well, estimating like 5 hours to make the Odyssey pack. And that was like, for me, that was the biggest eye opener on the how much extra time it makes, not only because you're making it for the very first time, but you are also proofreading, converting everything, measuring everything, like being super, super, super particular and detail oriented, as we all are as testers. Because I think that's one of probably the biggest things
Yeah.
that you need to be.
Yeah.
um, and so I'm like, there's no way, no way. It takes me 5 hours to make the Odyssey pack. But if you look through the tester blog, so many of us said it took 5. Some people said it took 8 hours. Um,
That's crazy to me because I'm like, the travel nights, it takes me like 6 hours.
right, right. No, I'm telling you, like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, like with cutting and all of that. Like, but but yeah, when you're testing and having to read everything, it's um, yeah, like, and it's not just reading; it's proofreading.
Yeah. Melinda brings up a good point as well about the pros is the team spirit. And that's really true. Like
Yes.
every test that I'm involved in, I try to start us off with a positive. I try to, and that's with every test I do. So whatever test I do, I've always tried to come in. I try to get everyone involved because I've been in tests where people aren't involved, and I guess that's one of the cons. And it's really, I don't want to say boring because that seems a bit harsh, but like I guess most of us or maybe it's just me. I'm talking for other people. A lot of us, well, I am stuck at home. I'm a stay-at-home mum. I need to stop saying us. I'm talking for me. Like, so I don't have a lot of human interaction really, which is probably why I'm so weird. But, so bag pattern testing, you're suddenly part of a team. Like, I don't have that anymore. I don't work in a career environment anymore. And like being able to jump ideas off other people, talk to other people is part of what makes it fun. So, and there's a couple of tests I've done where there's not had, like, we've not had that. I've not gone back and tested for them again. That's one of the reasons because it's not my type of environment. Some people are great with that. Some people love it and they don't want to be involved. They just want to get in, do their job and get out.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Like it is, and it is really inspiring. Like I said to, if anyone sees the promos that Sophisticated does, you'll see underneath a lot of other testers going, "This is beautiful. This is da 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 da," and like this is gorgeous. It's not just it's any pattern testing, right? When a promo comes, you'll see on like creative bag making groups, someone would post a photo. Everyone underneath is like, "This is great. This is so nice." Da 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 da.
I love
And
it. It's gorgeous. How
yeah,
cute.
yeah.
Adorable. Yeah.
And like I've had to go in and say like a couple of times in the groups, like when I say it, I really do mean it. Like I don't
Yeah.
because like some of the bags that people are making blow my mind. Like I've been bag
Oh
making
my
for a
God.
while now. Like I'm in all the groups and like
Yeah.
every single test I do, I still get surprised. I'm like, this is insane. This is so beautiful. Nikki and I, we're just testing a new pattern at the moment. And I think we both, there's one bag, you know, the bag I'm talking about.
Yes, I messaged you. I was like, how? Why? You know what? I give up. I can't. I can't. I
How do
can't
we
keep
top
it
that?
fully. Yes. Like, this is amazing.
I know.
So you just wait. Y'all just wait, because
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
And I've seen other combinations, and I'm like,
Yeah. Never would have thought of it.
uh,
Yeah.
what do I do? Oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
stop setting the bar so high. Like, but I love that the bar is set so high because it pushes me
Yeah.
to be better and to think outside of what I normally would. And yeah, so
Yeah.
props.
Yeah. Like this pattern, when I first got it, I had in my mind exactly what it was going to be. And then like seeing other testers bring out what they think they're going to be making. And it just like it does. It like blows your mind and you're like, oh, never thought of that. Never. Yeah. So that's really, yeah, it's a really cool part of, yeah, that pro. Um, one of the cons, though, now I'm going back to the cons. We've done it up positive. Let's go back to the negative.
One of the cons is seeing what other pattern testers are doing and trying to.
How dare they do this? One of the cons for me is, and I know it's not every pattern designer is, but most expected is that you can't deviate from the pattern. There is no deviations at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's fair because they're asking you to test this pattern as this pattern is written. Like if you're not doing it, you're not
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Yep.
And sometimes that can be frustrating and annoying. Like if you were making a bag and you go, I know for sure that I'm not going to need this zipper pocket. Why do I need to put the zipper pocket here? That option is taken away. If you know for a fact, like you're testing a laptop bag, say, for example, and you've got a 16-inch laptop, but this pattern's written for a 13-inch laptop. Too bad, so sad. That's what you're making. So in some ways that can be frustrating and that can be annoying. So that's one of the, I think one of the cons,
Yeah.
I guess, is you can't make changes. And once you've done one, some designers are open to, if you do another, you can change it however you want, do whatever you want.
Yep.
But that's one of the cons to be wary of, especially if you are, I think this is more for really experienced bag makers than for beginner bag makers. Because I think with beginners, when I'm saying we now, like I've put myself back in that basket, we're more likely to follow the pattern exactly as it's written, which is what pattern designers want. They want you to test it exactly
Yeah.
as it's written.
Yep.
But when you're an experienced bag maker, it's easier to, well, maybe not easier, but you're so used to just skipping, right? Like, and I'm embarrassed to admit this. I've admitted this before, but I only realized this in the Zaria. I think it was at the Zaria Charm that I realized this in, that Jassy in her patterns for the opening, like the birthing gaps, you're actually supposed to not just sew you're supposed to sew up to it and then across. And I didn't realize, and I've tested how many patterns before that for her. Like, and I think I'm detail orientated. Obviously not, because I've always missed that bit. And I said to Jassy, I was like, oh my God, Jassy, I love this new thing that you've done. And she's like, it's not.
It's been
What are
a
you talking
tip for so long.
about? So, and like, we're all guilty of it, right? Like, we think, you look at the next step. Okay, next step is a zipper pocket. I know how to do that. And then you don't read, and you can't do that as a tester. You have to read every single word and do it exactly as it is, because one little thing is going to throw you off. And believe me, one tiny thing is going to throw us off.
Admittedly, it was the Zarya charm that I actually did that tip for the first time. So I had seen it, I had read it, I knew what it was for, like I understood it conceptually, logically. Yeah, and I still just like out of habit continued on with like my normal, okay, this is how I'm doing it, blah blah blah. Just kind of went on autopilot when I was sewing that part for the Zarya charm. I did that. And
Yeah.
I was like, what have I been doing? Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a pro or a con, but like, yeah, you have to get out of that autopilot mode and actually pay attention.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the things that's fun /
Yeah.
not so fun. But I think for me, those are the biggest cons. I know there's a lot of talk on like Facebook groups and stuff saying that like the amount of time and money that is put in, like the testers should be compensated more than just a free pattern. Like I know there's a lot of talk of that. For me personally, it's not really something that's ever crossed my mind. Mainly because for me, the pros have always outweighed the cons. So my pros, obviously, like we've talked about them all. And obviously, like I get, you've spent time, you've spent material, but to me, especially I'm a little bit different, see, because I sell my makes. So everything that I've made, I've sold. So like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't cost me anything. No, it doesn't cost, like obviously I still use time and I still use materials, but I get that money back. So to me, they're like, it makes no sense, but like to me, I'm happy with just getting the pattern. And so I think that's something that people need to think about themselves. Like it's very easy for us, I think, to sit there and go, oh, well, why can't they pay us? Why can't they give us this? And I
So
know, yeah.
For me, it's not just the free pattern. Like, yes, initially I was kind of on the same boat as you. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
get the pattern for free. Ooh.
Mm.
Uh, which is exciting. But at the same time, it's the additional skill, right?
Yeah.
So you gain new skills, you gain more confidence. And we all know that as you sew, the more you sew, the better you get. And so if you're forced to sew something new on a regular basis, or even if it's a one-off test or, you guest test for just a one-time thing, but even if it's just a one-time thing, you're forced to sew something that you probably wouldn't have sewn otherwise, and you are doing it based on somebody else's instructions that you are forced to follow. So you can't just go, like I said, on autopilot. Like, you have to eventually do it
Yeah,
the way that it's written, which then expands your skill set. So
definitely.
you're
Yeah.
not just getting a free pattern. And even now, I mean, okay, so I've been testing now for just over a year. You've been testing for what, just over a year and a half?
Yeah.
I'm still learning new every single pattern I test.
Yeah. Definitely. Every single time I test, I'm like, and I do wonder this. I'm like, how much is Jassy actually holding out on us? Why are we still Nicole's just joined us as well from Canada, and that's true. You test because you
Yeah,
like to swim, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like we're all doing something that we love to do. Like I wouldn't
yeah,
like. Let's be honest here. Are we all? Is any of us going to sew if we don't love it anymore? Like, I know. I've taken a
yeah,
little hiatus the last few days. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm done. And then you can't really stay away from the sewing machine for long.
no,
Yeah,
no,
we've
not
all
at
got
all.
like a sewing addiction.
Well, and testing is such a great like intersection for me, and I think Melina's in the same boat. She recently joined the sophisticated tests a couple different times. I think Pandora Lure was her first one.
Yeah,
But we come also from a copywriting and editing background. So testing really gives us kind of that intersection of our love of sewing and our love of wordsmithing, proofreading, and that kind of thing. So yeah, you're getting more than just people who love to sew. You're also getting people who love to be really nitpicky on paper too.
definitely.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, sometimes it drives everyone else insane, but hey, we're here. I sent like to talk about nitpicking. I sent a photo to Nikki because I was doing was it for my pop up? I don't even remember what it was for. It was for
It
a
was.
market for a pop up. Yeah,
It
and I
was for
sent
your.
it to Nikki, and
No,
I
it
said to
was for the boutique.
it was for the it was for the boutique. Yeah. So I sent Nikki this photo, and on it there wasn't even that many words. There was just a little bit of words on there. And I said to Nikki, like, I am literally walking to the printer now. Tell me if there's anything wrong with it, and I'll fix it. If you don't, I'm just going to print it as it is. Oh, my lordy lord. The walk is literally like, it was a 2-minute walk, maybe not even. And Nikki's just like, bang, bang. Punctuation's wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. I'm like, Jesus. Like, English is my first language. I swear, what is wrong? So,
I,
yes.
but okay, but you also have to understand that was my day job for a long time was proofreading and copy editing. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
So, yeah, that is, yeah. And that's one of the big things, isn't it? It's like, yeah, weighing up those pros and cons.
That was
I
good. I
in
like
my mind
that.
right now, I'm like prawns. That's, yeah. 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 Weighing up those pros and cons and working out whether it would work for you. Because I think it's all well and good for us to say, I think I deserve more, I want more. But it's just, honestly, it's for most designers, it's not a possibility. Like after seeing what happens behind the scenes, I don't know, I don't remember who it was, but like there was a designer recently on one of the big page groups, and she was saying like she launched a pattern and sold like 2 copies. Hopefully she's done more now, but like
Yeah.
it's a reality out there. Like it's very easy for us to sit here and go, oh, how hard is it? You just write a pattern, you release it out into the world, and you get $10 a pop. So you sell 1,000 of them, and that's $10,000, right? It's like it's easy to say, but how many designers are selling 1,000 of a pattern.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if
I've
there's bag makers at the moment.
I've seen one tester call, and keep in mind, I mean, this is in the past 13 to 15 months probably.
Yeah.
But I have seen exactly one tester call in kind of the general bag making groups. I don't remember if it was CBM or creative bag making or so whatever. Um, but they actually advertised as part of their tester call that they were paying the testers $25 each.
Oh, wow.
So you get the pattern and you're paid $25. And I'm like, how? So
The
I mean,
math
when you
ain't
think about it,
nothing.
okay, so you're paying your testers $25, and if your pattern costs less than 12.50, it takes more than two pattern sales to pay each tester.
Yeah. And that's before you pay yourself. You pay for like the editing software, you pay for the hosting ability
Hmm.
to sell the like to sell the patterns.
All of your own materials. I mean, and part of it too is, I mean, I'm seeing a little bit more behind the scenes, kind of the longer I'm in the testing world, and it's not just with Jassy. I'm seeing it with other designers and whatnot too, but it's also their materials. How many versions and iterations of these bags are they making
Yeah.
before it actually reaches the instruction state? And then they're still having to make one, two, three more
Yeah. Because
for
it's, yeah,
various reasons. So,
testing that many. Like, and that's the thing.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if I've said this, like, the Zarya refresh that was recently done. Because Jassy was messaging me about it. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Kian's just started playing with his motorized car. um,
Yes.
but with that one, there was at least, off the top of my head, there must have been at least 6, 7, maybe even more versions of it, because it was deciding on the size, and then after that it was changing the way that the drawstring was done, and then there was how could we actually make it. Yeah, there was a lot that actually went on behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't
Hmm.
realize. It's really not as simple as, oh, I came up with an idea and I made it. And like that's that's really
Came up with
something.
an idea and I made it and I didn't like this part, so I made it again and I didn't like that part, and so I made it again.
Yeah. And I think it's really easy for a lot of us to sit here going, I can design a pattern. Like, I mean, I've got, like, you guys all know about my little petite pouches. My I've just managed to pack them away. I don't know how many I sold during the last whatever. But like, I've I worked that out myself. I figured out how to do it. I did it. I made it. If I wrote a piece of paper, I could write down how you can make it and be like, here's a pattern. But that's not really fair, because yes, I made it, but there's other designs out there that look like it. Like, you have to think about all of that stuff. I have to make sure I'm not being influenced by other people, other designs. I hear my door attempting to open. And like, there's a lot that goes into it. Like, I know, um where are you going? Like, I know no one's reinventing the wheel here, right? Like, I know um there's a lot of bags in the world. No one's reinventing the wheel, but like, at the same time, it's very hard for us to sit here and go, I'm definitely not inspired, or like someone else has helped make this bag, right? Like,
Mhm.
Nicole just mentioned that one of the bags that she's testing at the moment, the designer actually sent out some materials. And that's actually, yeah, I really like that. That could be a really, like, that's a really great, helpful, like, point that someone could do as well. And I think in that way, that would also help with, um, like, what the final product comes out as, right? Like, that's one thing that I want to
Mhm.
talk about in terms of like how to get invited back, I guess, is one of the things that you have to think about when you're making these test bags as well, is how is this test bag going to look? Because it's very easy for us to, I know, and this is probably not a nice thing to say, I know when I look at a pattern and I'm about to test it, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. then I tend to go for my ugly fabric. Because I'm like, I just want to use this up. I don't want to use my good fabric and then not be able to sell this afterwards. Like, I sell for a living, so like I have to think about my end user, right? Can you guys hear that?
A little bit.
Oh,
Mommy classy.
you walk away, Kian.
No, mommy classy.
Oh, and here comes Padfoot too. I've got everyone in here now. Kian.
No, Mama Coffee. I'll put you on.
Okay, thank you, Kian. Bye. Children and pets, right? Okay, Kian, seriously, Mummy's working. No, he's not going to stop. I just have to give up with him. Can I tune him out?
You can step away if you need to.
Like, no, I think we've got him now.
Okay.
Maybe not.
See, that's why I join after mine goes to bed.
After bedtime. I will step away for a second, so it's all you now. I'm like,
oh, great. All right. So Sam has left me in charge. Ooh, was not expecting that. I'm not quite sure where she was going with that. Oh yeah, with the ugly fabric versus the good fabric. The other thing is amount of fabric. Sometimes that can be a struggle depending on the size of the bag. It's something that I'm currently working through, trying to figure out how best to piece things together so that I have a fully coordinated bag that will look good enough to entice people to purchase. So it's also bringing in kind of that marketing side of things when it comes to bags. Oh, we've changed positions.
I know. I'm like, I don't know how to fix it now. I'm like, make you disappear and make you come back. It doesn't matter, does it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, with the, like you were talking about the fabric,
Yeah.
using, your cheap fabric versus your good fabric, but it's also figuring out quantities of fabric.
Yeah.
And how to make something that looks good enough to entice people to purchase. So, bringing in the marketing side of things as well.
And that's the thing. I think, like,
challenge.
Yeah, when I first started testing, my mindset wasn't quite exactly right on that because, like, yeah, it's very easy to like, well, I don't like this, so I'm just going to use my cheap fabric and whatever. Where it was actually giving me an opportunity to test out really patterns and designs that I didn't think would sell to see if it would, if I had actually just used my good stuff. And travel belt, sorry. Like, I already said, like, it wasn't something that appealed to me. And if you go back and look at the tester blogs, you'll see the ones that I made. Like, they're still cute. Like, one was like a Starry Night one, and one was like a Highland Cow one. And
yeah.
And so, like, they're still cute. They're just not really. And Nicole brings up a good point about feeling, the hardest part is enticing others to purchase the pattern. It definitely is. And, like, working behind the scenes a lot, like we've done, Facebook hasn't made it easy. Like, Facebook has started really, well, actually, it's not even started. They changed the rules and they keep changing the game post, right? Like, sometimes if you put a link, they hide you. Sometimes if you don't put a link, then you are going against group rules. Sometimes, like, it's, if you talk too much, sometimes people don't want it. If you talk too little, sometimes people don't care.
Yeah, the same description by every tester.
Oh, yes. I hate that. It is, yeah.
The other thing is something that I've learned, and Sam, you and I have talked about this, is I learned the hard way I cannot use the same description for all of my promo posts.
Yeah.
Because Facebook will collapse them into one post. Yeah. And it'll say, like, Nikki has posted in X number of groups, and so only one, it'll only appear on people's feeds one time instead of however many times they're in a group.
Yeah.
So
when that cross promoting button came up with Facebook, everyone got so excited about it. because they're like, oh, so I could just literally click that one button and post to the 3 groups, 4 groups, however many groups I need to do today. But yeah, like Nicole's saying, first of all, as a consumer, so as someone who you're trying to advertise for me to buy your pattern, I think I'm seeing the same post over and over again. I'm not going to click on it. You're annoying me. You're spamming me.
And I get really annoyed, and then I start digging my heels in, and I'm like, oh no, no, it doesn't matter if I like this or not. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same. And like, so I have to admit, like, I mean, we're all busy people, right? We're all busy. So like it's not easy to sit there and write a genuine post each time. If you have to do 3-4 posts every day, 3-4 days, I don't know. Each designer has different schedules. I've been involved in some that have a 2-week schedule and you choose 3 days and then you post on those 3 days. And I've been in some of the ones that are like 4 days straight and just 4 days, this is how much you post. So like I've been in both sides, and like it's very easy to fall into the habit of I'll write a post, oh, this is really good, I love this, copy, paste, 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 paste. But you just come across spammy. And like obviously when you post and you choose your photos, you're choosing your favorite photo first. And then so even your photos look the same, your words are the same. You look like a scammer. Like, let's be honest. So I do try now to do a different post, a different comment, different photos. So like obviously it depends on what posts, like what pages you're posting on, but I try to cater to the page as well. So like there's a production bag making page, so group. So on that one I try to show how that bag could work if you are a production maker. Like, does it use a lot of is it really good to batch? So is it like hardware light? Is it like, so I try, I'm not saying I'm good at it, I try to make it like relevant for that group. Granted, you get by the end you get tired, like Nicole's saying, like the promo is the hardest part, and by the end you do get tired and you're like, I get promo fatigue. I'm not going to lie. I get promo fatigue. So you'll see like my first 2 days of promos, I'm like, yes, I'm ready for this. By day 3, 4, I'm like, and
so
like before, like there's testers that there's designers I won't test for anymore. Not because I don't like them, but purely because they have a 2-week promo period, which
just to make
promo for 2 weeks. But by the end of that, I am so promo fatigued. I can't. And I know if I'm not giving my best, I can't. I don't want to do it anymore because I want to give my best.
So, the name of the group I think is just Production Bag Making.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, just production bag making.
Yeah.
I'm not being rude. I'm looking it up, I swear.
All right. Well, while you look that up, one of the things that I do, so I get a little neurotic with how much info I keep track of, and so I actually will keep a notes app. I have a spreadsheet of all the groups that I'm in, whether or not they will allow testers or strikers.
This will go well. There we go.
Can't see it, and it's backwards.
Of course it is.
Your camera's not mirrored.
Oh,
so it's backwards.
I don't know how to make it the right way. Can we read it? Is that still readable though?
It was literally backwards, reading right to left.
Production bag making, and then tips, tricks, something else.
Oh yeah, that's right. I've got that on there. But yeah, so I actually have a notes app. So I will, when I'm building out my schedule or when a schedule is released. So like you said, different companies have different ways that they do it. So if there's a schedule provided, I will write it out in my notes app along with any required groups to post in on specific days. And then I will fill in with groups that I'm more active in or that I know respond better. And I will kind of create a, oh, good. Nicole can read backwards. But I'll create a checklist for each day, and I will create, however many groups I'm in, I will create that many variations of a post. So I have all of that in my notes app so I can copy and paste from notes. And then yeah, and so then I just check off like as soon as I posted for that day and I know I'm done. And then for the next day, I will actually take those three, four, five, six, however many groups I posted in, however many posts that I have that are unique, and then I will start mixing them up and I'll start playing with them, like combining them in different ways. So it's essentially the same information, but it's not the same copy paste social media post across
Yeah.
the board anymore. Um, but I used to do like a separate post per day until I was like, what is going on? And Sam, I think you were the one who was like, yeah, it collapses everything. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the post can be a little time consuming, but I also go a little overboard on making sure that I myself am organized. Um, because I will start posting as early as 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time my 2-year-old wakes up, and forces me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And just kind of post throughout the day. So I don't want to get lost where I'm at or what I've already said or anything
Can
like
I
that.
play with Evie and Ben and Asher?
If Evie and Ben and Asher want to play with you, yes, you can play with them. Thank you. Is the gate closed? Kian, close the door so Padfoot doesn't get out.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, I've lost my child, so at least I've only got the dog left now. Should be good. Sent him off to the neighbors. um, yeah, that's one of the things. Like, that's one of the things I think you guys in the US have a little bit of an advantage of over us not in the US. So I don't know if many people know, but like the US is one of the biggest concentration of bag makers, really, that we know of. So, and that's coming from like sales data and everything that we can see. The US, you guys have the most bag makers. So, if I have a lull at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my time, it's so easy for me to be like, oh, I can do a post right now. But I can't because 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my time is like 1 a.m. your time, I think. So 1 a.m. East Coast. East Coast? Yeah, East Coast. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just set the record straight. 3 o'clock in the afternoon your time is perfectly acceptable to post because yeah, okay, it's midnight to 1 a.m. depending on daylight savings time. But we also have, so I'm Eastern time. We also have Central, Mountain, Pacific. Like we have all these other time zones. And I'm on the East Coast. When you think about the West Coast, that's 3 hours behind me. That's only
Yeah.
9 or 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's true. So I could still get in on those ones. But I'm missing half the country.
I
So
mean, then there's people like me that just don't really sleep and, we're up browsing Facebook anyway at all hours of the day.
that's true. But yeah, so it's like it's something that we do have to think about, like is time zones. And I think, yeah, I think for the
But I
US
mean,
it's
it's just,
not easier. Like obviously there's still Australian bag makers too, so they will happily.
yeah. See, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. We don't sleep over here. But it's also, I mean, okay, so yeah, the US is huge, right? But we also have to pay attention to like normal work days, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
people
true.
aren't browsing Facebook at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, that's when I used to browse the most. When I was working at 2 o'clock
If
in
you,
the
but I was
afternoon.
gonna say that's all gonna depend on your company, and there's so many large corporations here that lock out Facebook, that lock out other social media.
Yeah.
People can't have their cell phones on them. I mean, there's so many different reasons why people won't be on. I mean, yeah, I get you that post
Yeah.
lunch lull. Um, but yeah, so in our own businesses, so like I know for my business, the best time to post for me is actually in the evening to later at night.
Yeah.
If I
Meanwhile,
post first
first
thing
thing in
in
the
the
morning.
morning, yeah, and it's funny because it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. But if I start posting first thing in the morning for my own business and my own social media, I get zero interaction
Yeah.
until the evening,
Ah,
and I get very few views on it.
yeah.
So like for me to hear you say like, I can't post at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's 1 a.m. your time. And I'm laughing because that's when I get my engagement is that 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. So
So maybe that's it. It's like, stop just overthinking, just post when you can, just get them out there.
right. Right.
And
And a
one
lot
thing
of
I want to
times,
say as well about posts, and like I know this is
mhm,
a me thing, but I hate sale posts. Like if you sound like you're trying to sell me something, I'm gone. I'm out the door. So like I
yeah.
know we're here to sell a pattern. Well, we're testing a pattern, but part of a testing contract. I think some people don't realize that. So maybe I should actually clarify that. When you sign up to be a tester, you're signing up to be a promoter. So as much as testing the pattern was
Usually.
important, the biggest, most important part is getting that pattern out there and sold. So
Hmm.
it doesn't matter how great a job you did as a tester, you picked up all these mistakes. If you don't post it out into the world, you didn't do your job. Like, I'm sorry. It's harsh, but it's true. And so that's why
No,
we talk so much
absolutely.
about
Yeah.
promoting. Because I think all of us know how to test a bag. Like, how hard is it to read a pattern and sew a bag up? Like, that's what we all do
I,
naturally anyway.
to
Ooh,
be fair, that depends on the designer and their written instruction abilities.
that's true.
I'm just
I,
putting that out there. There
I
are
have seen
abilities
like
at
people
all levels.
recently say like, can designers stop calling for testers until the pattern's ready? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, when you're calling for a tester, surely the pattern's ready, right? I'm so confused. And I have to admit, that's where I've been really lucky. So I've tested for four, I want to say 5 pattern designers. Every single designer I've tested for, the patterns are complete. There's not really been any that that have had to do like a severe rewrite or like something is seriously wrong with. There was one, the Luna, and this wasn't to do with the pattern. This was to do with the video filming because I filmed the tutorial for the Luna for Sophisticated Craft, where one of the testers who tested late because she is an amazing tester. Like this lady, I learned so much from her. She's not in the testing group anymore, unfortunately. Um, because I love her bags. Everything she makes, I'm like, I'm buying it. I don't care. And she was one of the late testers. And when she tested, she suggested this one little thing, and it was just add double-sided tape. And I remember
I
like
remember
we're
that.
all yeah, and we're all sitting there for a few days, like maybe not a few days, but we all sat there talking about it for hours. Like, surely double-sided tape isn't going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
And it made a huge difference. And I know I was arguing against it because I was like, I've already filmed that part. I don't want to refilm. But it made such a huge difference that it had to be added to the pattern. It had to go out to the tester group. If you haven't gotten to this point, please read, like, please do it this way. Like, it was a thing.
So, yeah, so full disclosure, I had never used double-sided tape before the tote pack when you were in Scotland.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
my first experience using double-sided tape and sewing. And I started with the planner, by the
mm,
way, remember?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that had double-sided tape
I,
too.
no, not mine. None of mine did. So, yeah. Um, yeah, so sorry, I was just reading Nicole's comment.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
But yeah, no, I remember that. I remember when that came out, and I remember anybody who did the tutorial, like you specifically, of course, because we also talked about it. We were like, I've already done that. I don't want to have to refilm it. Yeah.
and Nicole's just brought up photos, and photos is one of the biggest things. So, oh, okay, backtrack a tiny bit slash not. So one of the biggest things with testing, I think, that make the biggest difference, and this is a personal opinion, I could be completely wrong. First of all, your fabric choices. Second of
Mhm.
second of all, your photos, and third of all, your promo. Those are the 3 biggest things for me as to
Yeah.
whether you get invited back to be a tester, to be honest. Um, Obviously, like, if one of those is a little bit lacking, but you show up in the group a lot, you actually participate in a lot, yes, you might get considered back. But those are the three things that to me are the biggest things, right? Fabric choice is huge, because if your fabric choice is wrong to begin with, it doesn't matter how good your photos are, you're not, and it doesn't matter how good your promo is, you're not going to sell the bag. It's really that easy.
Yeah.
To me, and like when I talk about fabric choice, like obviously we all have our own different styles. Like my style is very, I'm going to let this dog out because he's just going to annoy me now. Okay. So like my style is very, you know, it's geeky, it's cartoon characters, it's like, that's my style. That's what I like to do. Nikki's style, you're very dark, you're like too, but you're like the darker side of geeky.
Yeah, I'm definitely more that, darker, moody.
And like I would say, for me personally, if that is your aesthetic, that's your aesthetic. Don't change it. So, like, if you look at Jassie's makes, for example, Jassie's very cutesy. She's very like,
yes,
she's either super duper cute or she's super sophisticated. Like that's literally her two styles, right? So it's very easy
it's Jassie and her daughter.
Like, yeah, I'm going to copy the designer and use like their kind of aesthetic. But really, if you got chosen for a test, it's because of your aesthetics. So stick with your aesthetics, first of all, and actually take time to think about, will this look good? Like I've seen a few testers that have just obviously gone, I've just got this fabric, so I'm just going to use this. And that doesn't showcase well. I mean, you might still come up with an okay bag, but is that really a bag that you're proud of? Like, so I think that's one of the big things, is making sure that and then photos. Now, photos is something like Nikki and I, like, we have very different aesthetics when it comes to photos. Like, I sat there and I'm like, this is hideous. And she's like, I really like it. I'm like, no, you're wrong. No. But one other thing I think both of us agree on is we both use Photo Room.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Disclaimer, neither of us are getting paid by Photo Room. We both pay for Photo Room. Photo Room wants to give us free subscriptions. We're open. Please call me.
Wouldn't complain.
So if you guys, sorry.
No, I like Photo Room is what makes it for me. And I've shown a couple people some of my like befores and afters.
Yeah, people don't believe you.
No, not at all.
Photo Room is, you can use it for free. It comes with a watermark. If you do use the watermark version, crop the watermark out. I cannot say this enough. I say this as like right now on the bottom of my screen right there, you can see a watermark. Because I'm
the restream.
One day I will afford to get rid of that watermark. I can't right now, but one day I will. But yes, watermarks. Get rid of watermarks, please. That is a huge thing. Okay, now Nicole's just started using. So one of the big things with Photo Room, it's very easy to use. I'm going to show you guys quickly, maybe, if I can work out how to do this. I'm just going to, do I show you my entire screen? I'll just show you my entire screen. You guys can see what I'm doing. I don't mind. I have nothing to hide, I think. I said I clicked share.
So
it's not
while you're working on the tech side of things, one thing that I want to mention about photos, though, is there
we go.
Is
that better?
Knowing what aesthetic for photos that the designer prefers.
Yes. Okay.
Because my usual go-to photo aesthetic is not Jassie's at all. I actually change my photo style as a tester to align with the expectations from her, because she also has to use my photos to market her pattern on her website that has a very specific design choice.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. And that's
Yeah,
something like I think sometimes is worth an open conversation about.
absolutely.
Because like maybe the designer wants you to have a different photo aesthetic. Maybe that's why they chose you. Maybe, and it's like
That's true.
I think if someone's invited you to be a tester, it's always you should feel comfortable enough to reach out and be like, "Hey, these are my photos. Let me know if there's anything I can fix." And I think that's one of the huge things with being a tester is being open to ask for help and ask for criticism. And I think the same goes for a designer too. Sometimes some designers are like, "No, I don't want to listen to you at all. You're wrong." And I
Yeah.
think that's yeah, it needs to be an open communication from both sides. Like both sides need to be able to say, "Hey, I think your photos
Yeah.
maybe not shit, but like I don't like your
No,
photos."
that was kind of the response because I actually did that. So my first test, like I said, was a planners,
Yeah.
and I was struggling with photos, and I remember like posting. I posted a few different times, different versions, and I'm like, all right, guys, I'm struggling. Help me out here. And I had such great feedback. And some of it was, I mean, it was very honest. So,
Yeah.
like, I did not want people to sugarcoat it because I would gloss over it in that
Yeah.
case. So, so yeah, I very much was putting myself out there as a like, I'm not happy with these photos. This is what I can do right now. What am I doing? Like, help me figure this
Yeah.
out. And I
Help
got a
me.
lot of really good information. And there were some requests that did not align with my style at all. And I grimaced and scrunched my nose the entire time I was doing it. And you know what? When those photos were done, Jassy was happy with them. Other people were happy with them. And I was like, all right, maybe they're onto something. So,
And that's the thing, right? It's back to that like learning and growing and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, is my screen showing?
yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the laptop version, not the phone version, but I'll just show you guys quickly for if you've not used Photo Room before, if you have, but it's so when you use Photo Room gets rid of the background of the photo for you, and you're left with literally just what it is. So normally if you were on your phone, sorry, it will probably come up with something that's like this on the right hand side where it'll show your
Hmm.
bag in different scenarios. It's super easy. And I think this is where a lot of people probably go wrong. It's super easy to just look at these, I don't know, 10 photos here and just go, oh, yeah, this one looks good enough. I'm just going to use this one and be done with it.
Hmm.
Because everyone says, look, Photo Room is a time saver, so you expect it to save you time, right? I'm not going to lie. I can spend half an hour on one photo on Photo Room. So I know I'm a little bit intense, but it's something that does happen. One of the biggest things that I hate that people do with Photo Room is super unrealistic photos. So sometimes it's okay to be unrealistic, like because sometimes it's a choice, right? Like it's a design choice. So no one believes that this bag is sitting in on a puddle of orange water. Like this is not believable. But maybe as a fashion choice, this is what I wanted to go with. Actually, this one doesn't look half
Yeah.
bad. So like that could be a choice. That's fine. My problem when I say like it doesn't look realistic is if we go with something like let me have a look. If we go with something that you just know you're pretending to be real and you know it's not. Like look at that. Like does anyone believe for a second like the bag's not even sitting on the log the right way? It doesn't look real
Yeah.
at all. Like that's when it annoys me, right?
Yeah.
Like Nikki's gone quiet, so I'm like, no, she doesn't agree. Ooh,
No,
nah.
I was reading Jesse's comment about it's definitely about having an open conversation, both from testers to the designer and vice versa. Improvement comes from being receptive to suggestions and constructive criticism. But always
Yeah,
remember to share feedback with kindness. I absolutely agree.
definitely.
So
Yeah, so
I
like
didn't know if you were also reading it. So
no, I can't see it at the moment. I'm too busy
yeah,
staring at
that's
my
why I
photos.
read the whole thing.
But like for me with Photo Room, the fun part comes in with the creator background. And I think that's where a lot of people don't do, and you need to actually go in and do it properly. So you can obviously use assistant words to choose whatever you want. So, like, to me, this is a horror style bag. So I want it to be somewhat scary, I guess. So I want it on a black marble countertop, and I want it in a haunted house. I don't want it with a haunted house. I want it in a haunted house. Okay, I'll do this. Oh. So, large bag on a marble, a dark marble counter. Sorry, I'm really slow at
We're
typing.
all watching you.
I know, I'm like, inside a dark and moody haunted house. So, like, you can actually go pretty fun with these and, like, come up with options. And if it doesn't work, go back and change things. Like, straight up, like, doesn't work. Like, I don't want spider webs around my bag. Like, I want it to look scary, but not like spider webs, right? So I can go back and choose and say, like, no spider webs. Probably a certain word that's making it think spider webs. Probably the haunted house. So dark and moody Victorian era. So, like, it's just about playing until you find the right setting. See, like that. That's a bit better. Maybe not the chandelier, but and then even then,
what I
yeah, you talk.
what I do is I find one that's like kind of a similar style of what I want. So like I'll find one that's kind of already created, and then I'll customize that one.
Oh,
And I'll start playing with the options, so I don't have to completely come up with it from scratch. And then I can, like, I do just exactly what you were doing with tweaking the wording.
yeah.
So like I'll customize it a little bit, see what happens. I don't really like that. Okay, how can I customize it to get exactly what I want? Just because I'm usually better with modifying something that's already presented than coming up with something from scratch.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
I don't know if anyone saw me do that, because that was a step that I think some people would like to know about but don't know about. Retouch button. So there's a retouch button. So when you're in the app, click on the background. Retouch should pop up. If you click on that, you get like a little thing, and you can actually get rid of something that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
See how that thing's just gone missing? Ta-da! Anyway.
Oh, it's a content aware fill in Photoshop.
Huh. There you go.
And
okay.
Yeah, Photoshop has a function called content aware fill that you can basically highlight like that, and it'll fill in from the surrounding.
Yeah.
Details.
The mountain background is my favorite for laugh. Oh, the mountain background's hilarious. You get some funny ones with the mountain background. I have to admit, I've used it a few times. Sometimes it sits right, but most of the time it's just, this is not even remotely believable.
So I recently did a Luna Petite with the Mukau panel.
Yeah.
And popped it into Photo Room, and it kept trying to set the bag on really poorly AI generated cows.
Oh.
And some of them were like realistic cows. Some of them were like plush cows. Some of them I was like, what is going on? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Do not, whatever you do, even if you think you have the best idea, do not have animals as part of your AI keywords for your photos in Photo Room. I tried to, for the Zaria Charm, not Zaria Charm, Refresh. I really wanted to show my bag at a dog park because I had a dog print bag. And I was like, yes, I'm going to show my bag at a dog park. Those were not dogs.
No.
They were pure. I don't know what it was. It was something out of nightmares. Whatever they generated that they thought were dogs was just wrong.
Okay, so I mean, some of you know that I'm a doll collector. I don't have any in my background here, but a lot of times when I take photos, I have dolls in the background. This happens to be when I was taking a picture of the shirt earlier today. And so I just happened to have her here just to give you an idea of like the size and scale. Anyway, so I will have dolls in the background when I'm taking photos, like on my mannequin. And some
Oh, I
of the
remember
photo
that
room,
one.
I was in tears, dying, laughing so hard at the horrors that photo room came up with, just because the natural background of my room had dolls in it. It kept trying to insert dolls into the background that was getting generated. It was terrifying. It was so horrifying and it was so hysterical.
You remember
Like,
the pyramid of doll faces?
or like the random like limbs kind of jutting out, but like the faces were like, oh, it was awful.
It
It
was
was so
horrible.
great and it was so awful.
But I think that's the main thing for photo room. If you're using photo room, like we showed you a little bit, there's not a huge but it's just be aware, spend the time on it. One other thing is if you don't use photo room, there are some designers who love outdoor shots. There are some designers who love light box shots.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
sometimes you might think, how am I supposed to know? Stalk them. Genuinely stalk them.
Ask.
um, something weird sounded outside. I was like, what is that? Yes, in the nicest way possible, stalk them. The outside shots are almost always a winner. Like you're getting natural sunlight, you're getting greenery. Green makes most things pop.
Everything
But
goes with green. Yeah.
like you guys just saw that horror bag. I'm not taking my horror bag outside in the sunlight and putting it in front of, a flower bed of daisies, right? Like it's not realistic. So like you have to think about it as well. Like genuinely think about your fabric choices, think about your end bag, what it looks like and what background it should be on. Like really think about that when you do your photos. And this isn't just for testing, this is for selling as well.
Yeah.
I definitely sell a lot more bags when I take the time to do the photos than when I don't. Yes, I can only imagine, Nicole. I was going to say that for you guys. My partner's from Scotland.
No,
We're
it's
trying to get his best friend
perfect.
to come over at the moment because I don't know if you guys are quite as bad as Scotland, but at the moment in Scotland, the sun doesn't come up till like 11 o'clock in the morning, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's dark. There is no sun.
Yeah.
It's almost constantly raining, or it's not snowing, it's sleeting. It's like that wet, yucky. Yeah. And I love snow. I put snow into so many of my photo room photos because obviously in Australia it's boiling hot. We never get snow. Well, there's some places that get snow, but it's too expensive to go to. But I also know you can't take photos in snow because it's too bright. Like some of us are sitting
No,
here
that
going,
depends. That
no.
all depends because I grew up in Minnesota. Lived in Chicago for
Oh,
many
I couldn't
years,
hear
but
that from your accent.
I to be fair, my accent is more Floridian now instead of like upper Midwest, by the way. So,
Not when you say
um,
no.
no. At least I don't say a boot anymore. Well, yeah, I went to college up by Fargo, North Dakota, so it's pretty close to the Canadian border. Anyway, I digress. Um, those cloudy days are great because yeah, the light reflects off the snow, but the cloudy day actually gives you a better, so like taking photos in full sun at any time of year is awful. I refuse to do it. I won't do it. Um, Waiting for a cloudy day so that you have that diffused light is better.
Yeah.
Um, and
But when we're testing,
I
we're also
actually
on a time limit.
we are. And so I use I currently have, I'm looking around my room. I currently have photo lights that I use kind of just as my general like sewing room lights.
Yeah.
Um, Tim calls them my Jesus lights. Um, but I also will use 100-watt equivalent daylight bulbs. So they're a 5500K color and they're very bright. I try to get the highest lumen I can on a 100-watt equivalent. Um, so it's more of a true white light, and I use them everywhere. I actually have four lights in my sewing room. Um, and so like yeah, our neighbors in the back, I'm sure, like curse me out every night that I'm in here sewing because it's just bright shining out the window.
Why you look normal and I look yellow.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it really does make a big difference. And even still, like my photos, Melena, was it you that I was telling my process to? But I actually take my picture, bring it into Photoshop Express, do a color correction on it. So I actually reduce the yellow by 10, I don't know, 10 degrees, 10 points, whatever. Um, so I increase the blue, reduce the yellow, increase blue by 10. And then I take it into photo room, do my photo room, and then bring it back into Photoshop Express to do any final touch ups if I want to add a vignette or anything like that to it.
Oh wow.
Um, and I do that because I can see the actual like percentage and numbers. Um, and
Mm.
yeah, grow lights are also great. Um, and especially, oh man, if you live up north where you don't get the sunlight, full spectrum daylight bulbs are night and day difference for you as a human. Um, and anybody who does not live in full sun year round should probably have them in their house, but that's a whole different
Yeah.
conversation and issue.
I've just put my
Um,
screen back on because I just wanted to show this quickly as well for lighting. So in photo room, you can click your object as well. And there is a light on button. A lot of people don't realize this. So when you're in the photo, actually click the item. So click your bag and then click light on. So did you guys see that? So it's a minor difference, but sometimes that's all it takes. Oh, I changed the background somehow. I don't think I did that. That's creepy. Okay, no more haunted house for
yep.
me. That's not. I'm just going to close that tab because that just freaked me out.
Makes sense.
Right. Anyway, so that's
Uh,
another little one as well. Yep. So outdoor light box. I know some people have talked about light boxes. I don't like light boxes. I feel like if you've got photo room, is a light box worth it? No, I don't know. Maybe a light box is.
so I've
Yeah.
used light boxes, um, and I mean, okay, so I know that I've talked about testing for the past, like, it's only been what, 13 months, but I've been sewing for the dolls that I collect for 18 years, that I've been playing around with how best to take sales photos. Um, and so starting in 2006, right? So I took a lot that was outside. At the time, I was living in the Chicago suburbs. So obviously, spring, summer, fall, it was glorious. you
Yeah.
could you could get amazing photos starting in late spring. Winter was always a challenge, and especially early spring because mud. That's pretty much all you got. Um, and so yeah, I used to have a light box. That's when I figured out full spectrum daylight bulbs and how big of a difference they make on photo color, and that's going to impact your quality because the fewer edits you have to do post editing is really the best. Um, but I do a lot, so maybe don't follow my lead. I don't know. Um, but the light boxes, you're limited by the size of light box you can either purchase or make. And I have dolls that are roughly 60 centimeters tall. So my light box was, I think it was a 30-inch light box. And when you think about how big that is, and you think about our bags, sometimes that is actually the size that you need for the bags when you consider the strap. And if you want
Yeah.
to show it kind of on a hanging, right? So
Yeah.
like, you've got the Pandora lure behind you that has a short little handle on it.
Yeah.
But how
But
many
if you're
times do we make
going,
a shoulder carry type
yeah.
bag where, like the one you were just showing, right? The tote that you just
Yeah.
showed. Um, it was really, really, really hard to get even lighting in a 30-inch light box.
Yeah.
So I actually find it easier to use more like my ambient light. And some of my early photos, even with bags, were taken against a wall. I would have ambient light, but I had a wall painted purple, or I had a wall painted teal, just because that's in our house and we're weird like that. Uh, and I would use um, those walls, and I would haul my photo lights
Yeah.
over to a wall where I was going to take the picture. So, but yeah, when it comes to light boxes, I understand why people like them when it comes to getting that white background. They are
No.
not easy to use.
Yeah. I can't imagine them being easy to use. I think that's the thing. And like, honestly, like you guys can see how bad my lighting is in here at the moment. Like it's constantly changing. I'm going from yellow to white. And I can take a photo in here, like, oh, it didn't show. I wonder if I've got the actual photo that I plugged into Lightbox before. But anyway, the that giant tote that you guys just saw, it was just taken in here. Like it was straight off my
Mhm.
sewing machine, literally, boom, here's a photo. Um, and then yeah, just by changing the background and then adding the light on, light off if I needed it, that's normally enough. So like genuinely, like don't overthink taking photos. Do you think about it, but don't overthink it, I think is one of the big things.
Yeah.
So one huge thing as well is angles, because I know when I sell a bag, like if I'm talking about selling a bag, literally like a completed bag, I'm taking a photo like that. I might take a photo of the back. I might take a photo. I will take a photo of the inside, and that's it. I'm
Mhm.
done 3 photos. Thank you, ma'am. Goodbye, so long. But when you're testing and you're talking about promo photos, try to change it around, look at different angles. What stands out to you? What is a funky angle that you like for the bag that might make you buy the bag? Because that's one of the things, like you are marketing now, and one of the reasons you were chosen as a tester is because of your, I guess, well, because of you. So if you think
Mhm.
you would buy a bag based off your photo, then I think that's a good start. So it's
Yeah.
all well and easy for us all to go, I'm going to sit here and try and attract as many people, which is, I have to admit, that's what I feel like I do wrong sometimes, because I've come from a real estate background. So my job is literally to make a house as appealing as possible to as many people as possible. And so like in real estate, in Australia anyway, I know it's probably different in the US. So we used to, when we took photos of houses, you'd have your front door shot, your backyard shot, your kitchen, your living room, and 1 bedroom. So you 5 shots. That's as much as you get. Don't do more photos, because the more photos you have, the higher chance you have of turning someone off. One little wrong photo and no one's coming in. So if my kitchen had a purple cupboard, I know Nikki talked about purple, then I might not even take a photo of my kitchen. I'm hiding that because someone's going to look at it and go, that's going to cost me $10,000 to fix. I don't want a photo of that. So whereas bags and patterns are different in that people want to see every single angle, but at the same time, you are selling to yourself. So
Mhm.
why would you buy this bag? That's why you want to advertise it. And that's how you want to advertise it. And that's how it doesn't come across spammy. Because it's super easy for all of us to sit here and go, okay, the designer has written that you should buy this pattern because it has 5 slip pockets. It has, I don't know, whatever it is. It's very easy to just go, okay, I'm going to sell it because it has 5 slip pockets, 2 zipper pockets. whatever it has.
Yeah.
But realistically, would that have attracted me to that pattern? No, it wouldn't have. So genuinely talk about why you like it, take photos to show off what you like about it, and don't worry about having like playing around with angles and playing around with different things. And that's something I have to get used to. I'm not good at angles. I'm a very like in the box, this is straight person. So which is even weird to say. Like, look at the bags behind me right now. They're all like facing front forward. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I unfortunately I don't have any behind me. I'm sorting through supplies. I'm trying to do inventory for end of year. So I don't have a lot going on behind me that's too exciting. But I always think about like it was one of the most recent Lunas that I made that I shared photos of. And it was one that I made. I happened to do it first strike, so there was no testing involved, and I was able to do my photos in my own style. And I think I think I even messaged you, Sam, and I was like, "Could you imagine submitting this as like a tester photo?" And
Yeah.
it's like a dark photo. I had a vignette on it. It was a black brick background. It's a black mannequin with a black and red bag, and like to me that would sell the bag to me because that's me, that's my aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I know as a tester, it would be a white brick background. Maybe a slight vignette, depending on how the rest of it kind of pulled together. But then I laughed because I did a lot of the other photos for like listing it on my website
Yeah.
with more of like a neutral color background. But like that black brick background on the mannequin was kind of like my showstopper
Yeah.
photo because it's so different than what you would normally expect to see, depending on the group that you're in, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing. Like, I think, I mean, we've all bought patterns here, right? Like, think back over the patterns. Like, you would have, like, when a new pattern is released, you probably would see, hopefully, if the testers are doing a good job, you would have seen 10, 15, 20 versions of the exact same bag in a small amount of time. Which was the photo that made you click and finally say, fine, I'm buying this? Because we can all sit here and go, oh, I've been looking for the perfect tote bag and I want it to like, I want it to be this big. I want it to have these things. And it's
mhm,
literally staring you in the face and you look at it and you go, oh, that looks like grandma's bag. Oh, no, I don't really like that. And then you see one and you go, that's the one I want. Guess what? It was grandma's bag. It was that one that you didn't like. It's just in a different setting. And
yeah,
suddenly it clicks and you like it. And that's where one of the testers I was talking about before, Andrea, if anyone's seen her photos, she gets me every time, man. Anything she posts, I'm like, I'm buying it, done, sold. She's almost tempted me a few times to buy vinyl in from the US, which postage here is like insane. And like every
yeah,
time
it's
she's posting, I'm like, I need to block her. I just need to stop seeing her stuff. She costs me too much money.
nice.
It's the same with Leanne. She's is she testing with us at the moment? I don't know if she's testing with us at the moment or is she having a break.
I don't think she is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
but
think she is this
Leanne,
time.
she's Australian and like, oh God, lately, Leanne has been a powerhouse. If anyone wants to talk about powerhouse testers, Leanne has tested for so many designers lately. She is just testing, and you could see like from 6 months ago to now, how much of a difference her bags are because she's been testing so much. And it's not just her bags, it's her photos, it's everything has gotten exponentially better because she's been able to
Mhm.
do so much. And like everything she's posting lately, man, I'm like, oh, I don't have the money. Oh, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the next progression is what we should talk about is how to become a tester. Like, why is Leanne getting
Yeah.
all these and we're not getting the test? No. So, first of all, one of the biggest things I would say is keep your eye out for testicles. I cannot say that more
Yes.
importantly. That's when people are looking. Like, If you're not looking for the testicles and you're not applying for the testicles, of course you're not going to be a tester because you've not asked to be one.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually just recently, within the past 3 months, I missed tester calls for two designers that I was interested in testing for. One of them I reached out individually because I realized I wasn't seeing any posts from their group, none whatsoever. So if you have a designer that you are a fan of that you would like to test for, make sure that you have all notifications turned on for that group and make sure that you are engaged and interacting with the post to make sure that you are seeing as many posts as you can. Because I missed the tester calls because I wasn't seeing any posts whatsoever. And by the time I realized it and I got there, I had seen that, oh, 3 weeks ago they did a tester call. Dang it. But one of them I did actually reach out individually. But for the most part, definitely respond to tester calls because that's when they're actively looking.
Yeah.
So
I have had a designer reach out to me personally and ask me to be a tester. That's happened to me once. Honestly, weirded me out, and I said no. Because like, this isn't how it's done. Don't talk to me. No, no, I was flattered, but it was. I'm very picky with who I test for. Like we talked about with the pros and cons, it's time, it's all of this kind of stuff. So I think that's, and like obviously, like I've helped Jassy a few times with narrowing down tester lists, and I will say this. I get turned off by people that seem to want to just test regardless of who it is. So if I see your name constantly pop up on every single tester call, like I get you want to be a tester, I get it. And you've not even changed your photos, you've not changed your wording, you've not changed anything, that turns me off. Because I'm like, you don't care, you just want to be a tester. Which is fine. Yeah. It's great to be a tester.
That's legit.
Yeah, at least spend a little bit of time. Like I know, like we've said, like the compensation is a free pattern. So it's not like a job application. It's not a job, but you're still applying for something. So like to me, always put your best foot forward. Don't just rest on this is about me. I'll just copy paste. Here's some photos.
I mean, you already talked about stalking the designer to get a feel for what they prefer for photos, right?
Yeah.
That's once you're a tester, but realistically, like for me, that kind of happened before I became a tester. And it wasn't necessarily photo style, but it was bag style.
Yeah.
So yes, I did. I think I applied with, I mean, obviously like for sophisticated, I applied with sophisticated patterns. But then I also applied with another designer that's a little bit more unique style. Just because they're not like a common shape of a bag. So I was like, okay, this kind of showcases a little bit more ability. And then it was, I think I also included some of my doll stuff to say like, hey, I also do these other like weird things, but here's all my bags. The doll stuff usually comes out with strike applications, but testers, it's really catered towards who is seeking testers. What is it that they like? What do they do? Like how how do they present themselves? And I try to cater to that and make sure that it matches a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Nicole just put up a good point. Like she likes to test for designers that are just starting out. And that's a funny one because I've tested for a designer for her first ever pattern test. And she was lovely. She was absolutely lovely. Everything about it was great. But I think Nikki was the one who warned me against it. Was it you who warned me?
Maybe.
It might have been you. It might have been Jen. I think it was you. But one of the things with new designers, and I'm talking up and coming, like first time designers, is sometimes, depending on the person, I got really lucky. The designer I had was really happy to take feedback, really happy to take, like, because she literally said to me, like, you've tested before, tell me what works, what doesn't work. I'm happy to listen. But sometimes you get the ones that are just like, no, I'm releasing this, I'm doing this, this is happening. And that's when sometimes there could be I don't know what the word is, not miscommunication, but like it can get yucky.
It can cause friction.
Yeah. So that's just something to be wary of. And there's nothing wrong with that. For me, I think I'm a little bit more I don't want to say I'm conservative. I'm a people pleaser. And so I like to stalk designers. That sounds so weird. I like to stalk designers to know that they would like me before I even want to apply.
See, and I'm kind of the opposite side, is I stalk them to make sure I like them
Yeah.
before I apply. Like, I want to make sure that my working style aligns with their instruction style.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, now I think I would be okay testing for like a brand new designer just starting out. But for the longest time, I would never have had the confidence to do that, because if something doesn't work, I didn't have the confidence that I could just figure it out and articulate to them what the issue was, or what I was running into, or how I fixed it, or any of that. So yeah, I tend to make sure that it's a designer that I've purchased patterns from. I like how they do their instructions. I can follow them. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was
Perfecto.
just looking at Nicole.
Oh, see, I'm amazed, Nicole, that you went back and tested. If that was my first experience, that feedback wasn't welcomed, I would have been like, oh, that's it, I'm out. I'm never
Yeah.
doing this. This isn't for me. But I am that's like I'm a timid person. So it's amazing that you've gone back and tried it, because that's honestly that's one of my biggest fears is like when feedback isn't welcomed, because I like yeah, like I get testing, like the designer is still the designer, right? You're still part, but like to me it should be a team, it should be a group, it should, yeah, information should be able to flow both ways easily. Like, yeah, I don't know, like, yeah.
Well, I mean,
So
even thinking about like, I mean, we both test for sophisticated, obviously, and how many patterns? I'm the youngest of five girls. I understand you from the child perspective.
uh, I've got Savannah's 2.5, and I'm already petrified. She scares me. She scares me.
Just be ready
Like,
for the technicalities.
oh,
But no, with Jessie, that's one of the things that I love with testing for her is she's been a designer for how long? She's released how many patterns? I think it's almost 40 now. Not quite 40, but kind of in the 30s somewhere. And every pattern test, there's conversations about like how we can word things to make it very clear, because the goal is to seek understanding and clarity for the end user, not, well, this is how I word it, so this is how I'm going to word it.
yeah,
So it's kind of hoping the designer is able to reframe the mindset from like a personal attack. And don't get me wrong, like I have a design background. As a designer, you grow from that, because every designer, every writer, anybody who's a creative, you get very protective of your work. And
yeah,
anytime somebody's like trying to help you make it better, it almost feels like a personal attack. And it's something that you have to learn, right? That like somebody's recommendation to make my work better is not a personal reflection of myself as a designer, as a creative. And so I think that's why I also prefer to test for more established designers, because I hope
I
that
just realized
they
my
have that.
dog has somehow broken out of the house. I'll be
Oh,
back.
fabulous. Good luck.
Pad foot.
um but yeah, so that's one of the things, and I love the idea of helping new designers start out. I just haven't had the mental capacity to potentially work with that. So,
Yeah. Oh,
but
but yes.
we
Oh,
all start somewhere.
yeah. Um, but like while talking about like, yeah, new as well. I think that's a good thing to talk about is like new pattern testers. So like sometimes I know like I've seen posts before of people thinking like if you've never pattern tested, you can't pattern test, like you can't seem to get ahead and you can't seem to get chosen. And I think that's oh no. Oh, but they're puppies. Oh, mine's just my giant bullfed. He just keeps trying to chase my son. Well, not chase him, but he's like wanting to play with them. So he's like chasing him along the fence line because he's at the neighbor's house. Oh, but one of the things I would say for people who've never tested and you want to try and test out, like obviously what we said before, stalk out the designers you like, engage in their posts, like Nikki was saying before, like not just so that you can see their posts, but so that your name becomes front and center and front of mind. Like I'll say this, Milena, she's one of the few people that we made her apply, but before she applied, like tests before she applied, we've already spoken about in mod group, how great would it be if Milena would test? How great would it be? Because she was so engaged in the Sophisticated Craft Facebook group that
I believe there were a few instances of why isn't she applying?
There was. And Jassy, I remember Jassy saying, don't force someone to apply. And I'm like, apply. So like that definitely makes a difference. I know it might be harder in some of those really big groups, like Sophisticated was still not a really big group, but some groups are huge, right? Like some designer groups are huge. So it might be harder to get noticed on those, but it's still worth showing off stuff that you've made of their patterns more often, commenting on posts more often, just like so your name is front and center so they remember you, they know of your existence. And
it's also about being authentic though.
Yeah, like, of course. It's still being you.
Don't just comment to comment. Like
yeah, like actually have something to say. Don't just like you know how sometimes you see a post and you kind of respond in your head, but you don't bother responding because you're like, what's the point? Put that response down.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so just things like that. And I know, because I know like I recently was reached out to by someone who owns an Australian bag making business in Australia. I didn't even know she knew I existed. Like I had no idea she knew I existed. And she reached out. She's like, oh, Sam, would you be interested in coming on board and helping? I've got like this idea that I want to do. Would you consider? I know it's not pattern testing, but like I didn't even know she knew I existed, let alone she would reach out to me. So like it's those little things. It's commenting on posts and just showing up. So it is, and then when you apply, actually think about it. So one of the biggest things about testing we've talked about is detail orientated, right? We want you to pick up on details. And this is something that I know Nikki doesn't approve of as much as some of the rest of us in Sophisticated do. But like, so for example, Sophisticated tester call out whenever you see them, it normally has a specified number of photos. So I don't know, it's either 3 or 5 or whatever. I should probably know this before I say it, but there's normally a specified number.
Well, sometimes it's actually changed a little bit. Sometimes it's a minimum of, or at least, or no more than, or 3 to 5. Like I've seen all of those variations over the years while I've been in the group. So
yeah. So there is a specific thing. There is something about it.
Yeah.
And if your comment where you've responded and you have the wrong amount of photos, so, and I'm not saying like, obviously that sounds so bad, but like if it says like at least 3, have at least 3. Don't just have 1, because that straight up says you didn't read. If you didn't read and we're asking you to do a job that requires reading and proof testing, you're off the list. And that sounds really harsh. And like,
it is.
But when, and this is, and I know it sounds really mean, but like some of these tester call outs, you're seeing hundreds of people apply. So you're having to narrow people down really quickly. And one of the quickest ways to get you narrowed out is by not following the instructions. sometimes there's small problems that like small reasons why the instruction wasn't followed. So sometimes it's like nest your comments and you didn't nest. Sometimes that could be forgiven because sometimes it's a Facebook error. It's not you. It's just
Yeah, I don't pay any attention to whether or not the photos are nested because I know that Facebook is as wonderful and amazing how it always works exactly as intended
oh yeah, Facebook
is
never
it couldn't
stops.
possibly be that is an issue. No, I absolutely will never hold it against somebody
No. Yeah, the nesting, I'm
to
like,
not
yeah,
nest.
whatever. But like the photos, that's one thing that I always jump out at. If it says at least 3 photos and you have 2, yeah, it's not enough for me. Unless you have a reason why you don't have a third. Like if you literally say that I've only made 2 bags ever, here are the 2 bags I've made. Okay, you've explained it. You've seen the note. You know you didn't reach it, but you did it.
Yeah, I've run into issues nesting too. That's
Yeah,
why I won't hold it against anyone.
yeah, because it's not.
Um,
It's Facebook.
and for me though, like when it comes to the number of photos, I think about like when I was first starting out and kind of wanting to respond to tester calls, I maybe had 3 bags
Yeah,
that I had that like I would be proud of, but maybe my photos weren't that great.
yeah,
And I know like as a tester call, like for me, I felt like it was more important to have more stellar photos, like to have 2 oh my god amazing photos than to have a third photo that
that
was
would bring you
subpar
down.
that kind of brought things down. Yeah. Because really it's also about consistency in your making skills, it's consistency in your photo skills. The style doesn't have to be the same, but the skill has to be there,
Yeah,
right? And so you know, if you have, and that's where like now I have photos of all different styles.
yeah,
Like if I have some photos that are like super bright and cheerful and some that are more dark and moody, I'm not gonna, you know, if I'm restricted in the total number of photos that I have or number of bags that I have to choose from, depending on the designer, I may not want to post bright and cheerful next to dark and moody because
but
that
see,
can show an
if it's
inconsistent
supposed to be at
style.
least 3, I wouldn't have chosen you.
Well,
You would have been off my list.
yeah, I honestly, I bet your photos are better than you think they are,
Yeah,
and the end product could probably be improved just with a little bit of edit tweaks.
yeah. A lot of people think, not a lot of people think there's. Okay, I'm gonna let out my pet peeve. This is my pet peeve. Okay, a lot of people spend a lot of time doing photos, and you can tell because they're using photo room, they're using whatever. You can tell, so they took the time to do their photos. But one thing that is my pet peeve is people who don't take the time to sort out their bag before they take a photo. Nikki knows what I'm talking about because I complain about it constantly. I really do. It's one of my pet peeves. So
But
the amount of times I see a bag photo,
yeah,
like I won't take a photo of this bag right now as it is. Like it's been sitting there for a little bit. I still won't take a photo of it because see that handle there? It's not sitting straight. It's not sitting right. Fix that before you take a photo. If it's a bound bag, make sure you roll out those seams, have it all rolled out. If it needs an
stuff it,
iron it
stuff
first. Don't give
the
me wrinkles.
bag.
Huh?
I stuff my bags
Yeah,
for
stuff
every
your
photo.
bag. Like that's one of my
Literally,
pet peeves with photos. And like
yeah.
it sounds so minor, but and people don't believe me, but if you just fix those tiny little things first before you take a photo, it makes a world of difference. And this makes me sound like a horrible person. I have knocked people off my list of testers because they didn't iron a bag before they took a photo of it.
Yeah. And they haven't rolled their seams. I've heard it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't roll their seams, they didn't iron it. And I know that seems unfair, but when you're trying to choose 5 people, however many people out of 100, and that's what Nicole's talking about, like with the known designers, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things to like that of course you would be thinking about. But I will say that sometimes people get chosen not because of the best photos. Like we've had tests recently where we've chosen people not just because of their photos, but because of what they bring. So like we've had a test,
their style.
Different styles. So like, because it's the testing team, you want to round out a testing team. Like not all designers are the same, obviously. Some are. Yes. See, Nicole gets it. See, it's not just me. You need to stuff a bag. Oh, yep. It genuinely annoys me. Like people finish the bag. I know you're excited. You want to take a photo, but if you're gonna, it's one thing to take a photo. It's a different thing to then edit that photo, right? If you're gonna take the time to edit the photo, stuff the bag. Get it right first. Sorry, really passionate about it. But I forgot what I was talking about now. And Nikki wasn't listening to me.
I'm like, photos, stuff the bag, pictures, read the post.
You read the post.
I don't know how you eliminate people. You're like cutthroat when you eliminate people though. And I'm like,
I am.
But this person, different styles. That's what it was. Different styles.
So like, I know we talked about like trying to adhere to the designer's aesthetics, but so like, and not all designers are the same, obviously, but like, and I can say from my side, in terms of choosing testers when I've helped, having something so different that I would never use has sometimes made me choose someone, even though their photos weren't perfect. And you've seen me argue for some people.
Oh, I remember the Pandora Lure. You and I were both arguing for people who sewed with real leather, who sewed with cork, who sewed in a completely different aesthetic style than we usually even see post in sophisticated Facebook group. There was another one. There were 4 total that were just a completely different style than what we usually see on that particular one.
Yeah.
That we were like, no, but they're so different.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And sometimes it's having something different, because like if 10 testers all test the bag and 10 testers all like pink bags and we all come out with 10 pink bags, that would look spammy. So yeah. Yes, inside of the bags. And do you know what, Nicole? Like, I will say this right now. So on those testicles, no one ever shows the inside. No one ever shows, because they always, when you think I'm going to share a photo of a bag, right, you're going to show the front shot. You're going to show this is the bag that I made, because that's what you're proud of. Don't be afraid to show a shot of the inside of the bag. Show something different, because you're showing the designer, I'm willing to take chances. I'm willing to take angled photos.
Or make a collage.
Yeah, the collage. Yeah, collage sometimes would work as well. Like showing different angles, different sides. Yes, I don't care about bag feet. I'm not here to sell bag feet.
Well, sometimes I like knowing that there are bag feet involved, because I won't buy that pattern because I don't own bag feet to apply. And so like I will either, if it's a pattern I love, will ask questions of like, hey, are big feet really necessary here?
Yeah.
Or is that truly a style choice? Or like, where are we at on this bag feet?
Yeah. So I think that's another thing. Like, try to differentiate yourself. That's a huge thing on those testicles. So listen, like read the post. And I will tell you, I'm not the biggest stickler for like reading the post. Like, it might sound like I'm a stickler for read the post and
you're not.
Like,
you are totally not. I'm not either, by the way. Not even remotely. I'm more likely to give people benefit of the doubt than I think anybody else.
But read, like, always read before you comment. Like, it's not a job interview, but treat it like a job interview. Like, if you really do apply and you want to apply for it, like, that's how I do it. Like, I feel like it's not a job interview, but put your best foot forward, right? Like, when with the comments on what stuff to put, I know, like, some people think like, oh, they probably won't read it. They'll just look at the photos. I don't know, Nikki, you probably remember this. There was one tester who applied once and she gave us the names of her cats. And like,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Before I even saw her photos, I'm like, I want her. I want her.
Well, I think that was one. I mean, I always like when there's something thrown in, right? Like, tell us something random about yourself, or like, there sometimes there's like kind of that random request that's in the middle
Yeah.
of all the information, just to see like how many people are actually paying attention to the entire post versus just picking out like little oh dear. Oh, Nicole.
Oh, Nicole.
um, but yeah, I mean, and I've seen it in, oh gosh, I've seen it in so many tester calls where they ask for something just kind of random
Yeah.
to include. And it's, I don't know, sometimes it's like make sure you have this keyword somewhere in your like
Yeah.
that one's less common in the tester call, but I have seen it in a couple.
Yeah.
But
Because
yeah,
that's
that
the thing.
that
Designers
particular
are
person,
testing to see if you
yeah,
even read the post or if you're just
right.
copy and pasting. Because like there's a lot of copy and pasters out there. There's a lot. I remember there was one person that literally copy and pasted every single testicle that I saw from all different designers, and down to
Hmm.
the emojis were exactly the same. So you knew it was copy and
Yeah,
paste.
literally copy and pasted. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, I just can't. I don't have, like, how when I don't know how many of us, when was the last time any of us went for a job interview? Again, not saying it's a job interview, but like, and you would say if you wanted the job, you write a cover letter for that company, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't just,
I actually got a job because of my cover letter rather than my resume.
yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's like those things matter. Like,
They do matter.
yeah. And it's the same with testing. So take the time and write
Yeah.
your paragraph. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah.
Like, who you are, where you're from, what inspires you, what motivates you. I don't know, something about you that makes you
Yeah.
stand out. Because, like, just bear in mind, whoever's reading and whoever's choosing, like, they're human beings. There is a reason that you will jump out to them for one way or another. You could have caught someone on a good day. You could have caught someone on a bad day. Like, on my good days, I am reading everything and I am crossing out, saying yes, saying no. On my bad days, your first photo is what you have to grab me. If you don't grab me on that first photo, I've not looked at you. And that sounds horrible, but that's why there's a process. It's not just me.
Yeah. But I've also called you out, like, we've had that conversation too, where like I've shared a screenshot of somebody's bags and you're like, that wasn't in there. That had to have been added later. No, it was a nested one that didn't show up for you.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the thing.
yeah.
And then one of the biggest things, and I cannot say this enough, is when you do become a tester, obviously different designers are different testing groups are different with how much engagement there is and whatnot, but engage. I cannot, like, there is nothing worse than having tested a pattern with someone, because I mean, it's not like you're all going to end up being best friends, but you're spending 10 days, 12 days, a week, 2 weeks, however long your testing period is, together with these people in short proximity. Hopefully by the end of it, you remember their name, right? And there is nothing worse than like a name comes across our list and they say, we've tested before. And we're sitting there going, who are you again? Because like it's not a nice feeling. Like, it's not a nice feeling to be forgotten, and it's not a nice feeling for us to feel like we forgot someone either. Like,
Yeah.
so it's about being engaging and always putting your best foot forward. It really is. Jesse's put someone here as well.
Yeah, great marketing photos.
Photos, good intro. Yeah, definitely. Like,
Oh, and don't layer images. If you're gonna do a collage, do just like a straight up like boxed collage rather than like superimposed
like too
images
fancy.
like over another whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it easy for people to see the quality of your work
Yeah,
And
definitely.
the
I'm not even opposed to like, I'm normally, if you look at my photos, you'll see the whole bag. You'll always see the whole bag. But like, I'm not even opposed to on test to post having like those emotional shots where it's like a close up and you can see the top stitching if you're really proud of your top stitching, and like showing your skills, like really showing us what you're proud of and what you really like. Talk about what you bring as a bag maker. Talk about why you want to do it. I know I should never have gotten the sassy test, based purely on the fact that I've made 3 bags before that. I should never have gotten it. The only reason I got it, and I will stand by this to the day I die, the only reason I got it is because I put a collage of the fold and zip backpack as my first photo. I think that is the only reason I got it. At that point, I don't think I was that active on social media either. I don't think I was commenting, I was talking that much. But because I used one of Jassie's patterns as one of my front photo, I think that was... What are you doing, Padfoot? He's destroying my sewing room. That was
just
what
cleaned it.
Because and Jassie said this a few times before. Like Jassie mentioned before, and I don't know if you noticed, but one of the things that Nikki, Jen, and I, which all 3 of us are mods for Sophisticated Craft, all 3 of us, one of our first like sophisticated...
Our first sophisticated bag for all of us was the fold and zip.
Fold and zip. All of us was the fold and zip. So that's it. Go make the fold and zip right now if you haven't made it.
And actually,
you my affiliate link.
You talk about, hey now, spread the love. Like, no, but you talk about, right, like your first image was a collage of the fold and zip. I think part of the reason I got chosen was because I was damn proud of the fold and zip that I made, that I shared that everywhere. And let me tell you, in every single group that Jessie saw it in, she commented on it. And like, as somebody...
Was it Sword and Shield, was it?
Yeah.
I do remember it. I didn't remember it was you, but I do remember a Sword and Shield. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Legend of Zelda, the Hyrule shield, and the sword. I forget, the names are escaping me right now. But yeah, like I was so proud of that bag, and I just like in such disbelief that I actually made it, that I posted it everywhere. And so I kind of have a feeling that part of why I was selected, even as a new bag maker, because literally I think I had started making bags like in August or September, and my first test was in November.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like I'd been making bags for very long.
Yeah.
But I was everywhere with the bags that I was making. I still kind of am. Like, I'm still, whether it's testing or not. Yeah.
Like what Nicole is saying with, 2024 was her year to start using more social media platforms. And it's hard. Like it's new technology. I have to admit, I've always been a Facebook girl. Like since the day Facebook started, I'm on Facebook. Before that, I was on MySpace. Who else remembers MySpace? I'm like, social media has always been part, but like there's so much new stuff. I say to people like, I'm too old for Instagram. Like, and people laugh at me, and I'm like, but it's true. And then now there's
me. I laugh at you because I'm older than you. So.
It's never ending. And see, like Nicole, first bag being the B hip. The B hip actually is like a really special bag for Jassie. So like if you, I don't know, but if you apply for Jassie and you said like B hip's my first, like is your first sophisticated bag, like here's a hint, if you want to be a sophisticated tester, that will pull on Jassie's heartstrings, because the B hip was like one of her biggest sellers when she was a custom bag maker. She loves her B hip. B hip is like her thing.
That's her jam.
Yeah, she loves that SCD pattern. I do remember. I can SCD Facebook group.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to read all the comments. I was like, oh.
Commented on my post in every group I shared it in. The
Yeah.
fabric group that the fabric came from, the bag making groups, whatever, like sewing groups that we're all in. Like,
Jassy, to be honest, like I don't think I would have like applied to be a tester if it wasn't for Jassy. Like Jassy is what, like
yeah,
I don't want to say she inspired me to become a tester, but like I like of all the pattern designers that I've bought from, of all the patterns that I've made, of all the pattern groups that I'm in, Jassy is one of the few designers. There's others out there, but Jassy is one of the few designers out there that like does comment on your post
yeah.
every single time. And that was something that really jumped out to me when I was a new bag maker, because I was like, I don't know much about, I didn't know much, but
I'm
like in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this woman is famous. She has her own pattern design company and she's responding to me.
yes, I remember responding
Yeah.
um to a couple of the comments that Jessie left, like, "Oh my God, you're here too!"
Mm,
Like, you're this. I didn't expect you to like be here.
no. So like, yeah, that was really something that I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there unfortunately are a lot of designers who don't comment at all, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I like at first I thought that was normal. Like I was like, oh yeah, they just, and I guess like people do have other things. They have other things to do in their life. But like I've noticed more and more, it's like Nicole's saying, like the new designers, the up and coming ones, like a lot of the smaller designers, they're the ones that
yeah,
will take the time to get to know people and talk to people. And like they're the ones I like to test for. Like I've tested for, there's another lady that I tested for that I loved testing for. Well, not I loved testing for, but like I love her bags and I will continuously support her and buy all of her patterns. But her promo style didn't align with my style. And it's not she's right, I'm wrong, I'm right, she's wrong. It's it's different people, right? Like you have to try it, say if it's
yeah,
for you, if it's not, bow out. And that's what I did. I bowed out. I didn't test for her anymore because it's like we're talking about like the different promo schedules. She's one of the ones who's okay, let's do 2 weeks. And then in those 2 weeks, you choose 3 days. And then on those 3 days, you spam at least this many groups. I shouldn't say spam. You post in this many groups. And I am not good with that. In case it's not obvious already, I might have ADHD. I don't know. But what I do know is I am scatterbrained. I am easily distracted. I am here, I'm gone, I'm there. I'm doing a billion things at once. So a 2 week period, and my people have said to me before, why don't you just put an alarm in your phone to remind you today is your day to post? Because that alarm goes off, I click it, I've forgotten about it. It really
oh
is
no, no,
that.
no, no, no. You gotta use. Do you use Google Calendar?
I think so.
Okay, that means no. So I'm on an iPhone, but I still use Google Calendar for everything. I don't create an alarm. I create a task for that day.
So you have to actually task it off.
And you have to mark it as completed. And if you don't mark it as completed, it does not disappear from your calendar.
But you know
And
what?
so,
I am currently on a vitamin schedule that every day at 7 a.m. tells me take your vitamins, and it won't go away until I click it. And I still
okay,
manage to forget to take them. I haven't taken them today.
I'm right there with you. There are so many times where like I would have like when I was pregnant, right? So you're taking prenatals or whatever.
Yeah.
I will I would walk into my office to start my work day because I used to work from home.
Mm.
Um, now I'm in between jobs, but I used to work from home and I would walk into my office, I would sit down, I would open my laptop, I would get up, I would leave my office, and I would just be like, meds, 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 until I got to the kitchen to take my med. Like I would keep repeating it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because if anybody tried talking to me before I got to it, I would just ignore them, just like keep repeating it. Otherwise, I would forget. The walk halfway across our house, which isn't very big, I might add,
Yeah.
I would get distracted and go do something else.
Oh, yeah. But see, like
So
that's, yeah,
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I cannot do long promo schedules. Some people love it. Some people love it because it works in with their schedule. For me, it doesn't work with my personality. And like, I'm also
I don't
not very
mind.
good with vague instructions. Some people like it. And I know vague instructions make it sound negative, but like it's freedom, right? Some people are good with freedom.
No, right.
I am not good with freedom. Like
Yeah,
if
you
someone
want to know very specifically what are the expectations. Give me a schedule, give me the groups to post in, however many I need to do in a day, and however many extra, like a
yeah,
minimum of this, but you can do more type thing.
yeah,
I like being able to choose my schedule because there are specific groups that I like to post in
yeah,
that only allow those type of posts on certain days. So
yeah.
like as a striker, for example, right, creative bag making, we know like fabric strikers, Fridays,
Fridays.
those are your days that you can post in CBM. And
And
so like
Friday
I would
US
always,
time too. Don't accidentally post
yes,
Australia time like I do.
it should be
I'm about
Friday
to
your
get kicked
local
from that group. I
time.
am so
Like,
scared I'm about to get kicked.
oh, you and me both. You and me both. Yeah, we're not gonna go there. Not gonna
Oh,
go there. But I know, like, and there's another group that I post in that Tuesday is their promo day. So, like, as a fabric striker, when I'm looking at like, okay, what are the days? Because one of the companies that I strike for, they do their fabric strikes in that the promo the same way, right? Like, here's a 2 week period, pick 3 days, have to post an X number of groups. Um, and so I would pick based on groups that I like to post in
ah,
that
working
have promo days. And so like it would be Fridays, Tuesdays, and then the Tuesdays and Fridays are kind of the big ones. And then I
yeah,
think there was another group that had Wednesday or Thursday. So I'd always pick those 3 days of the week. Um, and then yeah, so that's how I kind of got into doing promos because I was a striker before I was a tester. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, having a schedule is fine too. Like that, okay.
We all
But
know
as
I
a
love
test,
schedule. I am.
yeah.
Tell me where I'm posting because and this is something like I don't know how much Jassy wants us to talk about like the actual runnings of the testing group, but Jassy has a schedule. I'm talking about it now. I don't care. Jassy has a schedule. Jassy tried trialing not having the schedule in that. So like in Jassy's schedule, it is perfect for me in that she'll tell you like on this day, go post in this group. And that works for me because I like to know what's expected of me. I like to know where I'm going to go. I'm a chronic overthinker. And so the couple of times where it's like, okay, go post in at least 3. What does at least 3 mean? Like, seriously, what does at least 3? So at least 3 means if I do 3,
You've done the
is that like
minimum requirement.
is that a D? That's a D. And then if I
No,
do 4, is that a C? And if I want an A, do I need to get like 7 down? Do you know what I mean? Like that's
my
what goes
God.
through my head. Like I'm an overthinker. Like I can't just obviously if you do
I
less than 3
mean,
well,
okay,
like
but to be fair, even with sophisticated schedule, I still post in many other groups.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, I'll
like
still
I,
post in others. But like I know I've hit my minimum. I know I've passed and I'm like I'm good. And then like the groups that I do choose to post in, have I chosen the wrong ones? Am I choosing the right ones? Am I like what am I don't know. And like Nicole just brought out a thing about spammy, and that's something that like me and like
yeah,
another lady have spoken to about in the past. Like she would go to post in a group and realize that someone else, another tester, had just posted in that group 5 minutes ago.
yeah.
So she then won't post because she doesn't want it to look spammy, like we're all posting at the same
Oh, I
time.
run into that with sophisticated too, even though we have
Yeah,
a schedule, right? And so we already have a limited number. But
yeah,
with my sleep schedule and people in Singapore sleep schedule, we're actually posting at the same time of day because I'm posting in the morning, they're posting at night.
yeah.
Or they're
uh,
posting in the morning and I'm posting at night because there's like a 12, 13 hour difference. So
yeah,
I mean, you're going to run into that and it's just kind of being conscious of it.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. So like one of the fabric companies that I strike for, they do that and you have to post in a minimum of I think one of them is a minimum of 3 groups, another one's a minimum of 5 groups that have at least 500 members.
Okay.
So they even have like a member count requirement. So
like that would, it still doesn't work. Well, it would still make me overthink, but like it would help. It would help. Like I need it. Like Nicole, I need expectations. I need to
those
know.
are the expectations.
Yeah.
3 groups with at least 500 members in each group. Go.
Yeah.
And then if you do more, great. If not, great. You're good.
I think like the thing with me is as well, and this is 100% a me problem. I've been spoon fed for too long. Because my first test was with sophisticated. So like right from the start, I've had a schedule. And that's one of the lucky things with my first test being with sophisticated. Like Nicole's saying, like she's still joining groups as she gets to know them. When I first tested my first test with sophisticated, the only groups I was in was obviously sophisticated, a couple of other bag designer specific groups. So obviously I'm not advertising someone else's pattern in another pattern designers group. Right. Creative bag making. And I think that was it. I think creative bag making was the only bag group that I was in that was like a general group. I might have also been in one other Australian group, and that's it. So like when like Jassy having a list of these are some bag groups you can join, I was like, oh yes, I've actually got groups now. And so without someone telling me of groups, I forget which groups there are. Like
I used to stock. So I started as a striker before I started as a tester. I would strike I made doll clothes as a striker. Yeah. And that's how I kind of got into the custom fabric world was, I think it was Jasmine made clothes for herself, and it was like, oh my God, custom fabric is a thing. Mind blown, right? And so I started joining, like I joined the fabric group that she was in. I ended up being a striker. But I was a striker for doll clothes rather than human clothes. So all of my promos were based on doll stuff. So I had a few different groups that I would post in that were more general sewing.
Yeah.
But I would stalk the striker promo threads and look at where other people were posting and see like, okay, if they're posting there, maybe that's a good place for me to post too, since we're posting on different days.
Yeah.
And so then I started joining all these other groups, and that's kind of how I started joining bag making groups and kind of caught the bug there. I don't know. Like realistically, being a striker is what introduced me to bag making as well. So
yeah. See, like striking's a whole different ball game. Like I've done some strikes, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them.
The company that I've done striking for though, like I've been able to choose the fabric base.
Yeah.
So obviously I started out making doll clothes, so it was all cotton lycra, and that was great. But then I was able to transition and maybe mix in some vinyl once I got a sewing machine that could handle vinyl. You know, but my first experience with promoting another company was as a striker rather than as a tester.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the first company that I did fabric strikes for, that was how they managed their schedule, right? Post in, you have a 2-week period, pick 3 days, post in a minimum of 3 groups. Obviously the more the better, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so it would depend on how my day was going, and you know, or how the groups were going. Like if there were a ton of posts, I wasn't going to post in a group because it would just get lost. So I was really kind of paying attention to all of that extra fluff happening around. And so I don't mind that at all. But to keep myself on top of it, I use Google Calendar tasks. I use my notepad with my checkbox list. I use that is kind of where that came from. It didn't come from doing testing.
Yeah.
That started before I started testing.
Yeah, a lot of it is in my head. I'm not going to lie. Like a lot of it's in my head. I am a chronic overthinker, people pleaser, self-depreciator. I don't know. Like talk to my therapist. She has a whole list about me. But like one of the biggest things I have, and one of the biggest reasons why I can't do the 2-week ones is I talk myself down. So for me, when they're really long ones and I'm not contributing, because like most of the tests, it's an unspoken rule at promo time to bump each other's posts. So it's not spoken, but you're expected to comment on each other's posts so that
Oh,
they
see,
get.
no, sometimes it is spoken, and those are
Sometimes it
the
is.
only ones that I make sure. Like Jassy makes it very clear.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hey, share the link so that we can all
Yeah.
comment
So
on
we
it
can
or
all comment
whatever.
and boost.
I've
Like,
had a striker or fabric group do the same thing. Make sure, when you're sharing links or whatever, right, make
yeah.
sure that you boost it. Other ones, no.
Yeah. And like one of the biggest things for me is, and I know the designers and fabric companies, they probably don't hold you as high regard as I hold myself. But if I don't bump every single post every single day, I feel bad. And I know that's a me thing because it wasn't expected of me. It's expected that I bump, but it's not expected that I do it every day for every single post, right? Right, Jassy? Like that's not expected, right? But
I don't know. I kind of thought that was the expectation.
but like to me, if I can't do it every single post every single day, I talk myself down and then I feel bad about myself. And so like when it's a 2-week period, because I know I get promo fatigue. I'm the first to put my hand up and say I get promo fatigue because
Yeah.
And this is again a me thing because I am not sophisticated craft. I am not whoever the designer is. I'm not that person. So I shouldn't be as involved in it as I allow myself to be, but I get very involved. And so
Yeah.
for me, when I start the promo period, my 4 days, 5 days, however long that promo period is all about that promo. Like I eat, I drink, I think promo. Like that's all that goes through my head. And like I let it become all consuming. So then like if it's a 2-week time frame, I will lose my mind.
So I struggled when I was working, especially Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Those were my really big meeting days. I'd end up with 7 to 10 hours of meetings.
Yeah.
And so like by the time I was done with work, I was on Facebook to doom scroll. I wasn't on Facebook to promo. Like it was always a struggle, and it didn't matter. Like I said, I used to pick Tuesday as a promo day when I had my choice of a day because I knew specific groups
Yeah.
allowed it. But man, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
um, but the nice thing is the job that I had was very flexible. So after having my son, Thursdays and Fridays were essentially no meeting days.
Yeah.
And I was able to watch him and hang out with him and still like as long as I was able to be responsive to people with questions. So like I led a team. Um,
Yeah.
it varied in size. So as long as I was responsive to people who had questions, they were totally cool with me staying home with my son on those days because those are the days that my husband worked. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, those were the days. Monday through Wednesday were the days that I scheduled all my meetings, and it was primarily Tuesday and Wednesday.
I
Whew,
love my
those-
Are you going
Hi.
back?
I'm in my order.
Yeah, you're eating your lolly still. You gonna say hi to everybody? No, you gonna go? He's too busy staring at himself.
Yeah,
He's
fascinating.
obviously today he's walked in on me a few times. But the other day I found my phone in the kitchen and he had recorded his own little tutorial on how to get his cars to transform. So
That's awesome.
oh yeah. Yeah, you like these little videos, don't you? So he's here. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I think what some people don't realize with testing, and like again, I know it's a me thing. Like it can you might think like, oh, I'm just making a bag in a 7-week period, but it does become all consuming. It really does. It's all you
Yeah.
think about. It's all it's literally that's all you're doing. I need to go put on the TV apparently. I'll do it soon. Okay? You head up and have Nobody wants to hear you beatboxing. Go away. You say hello. Jassy says hello. You say hi, Jassy. No, he's too busy now.
No.
Okay, you go outside. Maybe I should turn the TV on for him. I'll leave you alone again to talk.
Oh dear.
I'll be back. Maybe.
You better. She has left me in charge again. Yeah, I don't know where she was going with that. So I'm cool if people have questions that anybody would like to ask. Nicole, I love that you've been so responsive. And Jassy too. It helps while Sam is away. But yeah, so with the schedule, 2 weeks. Oh yeah, Jassy, it's your comment about a 2-week timeline for supplies. Part of the 2-week timeline, I think, for striking for fabrics is because it coincides with pre-order dates. So they want to promo the entire time that the pre-order is open. Whereas with patterns, it's truly a launch, and then generally the pattern is always available. So I do think sometimes it makes more sense to do a shorter launch for patterns because as a consumer, you get tired of seeing things too. I think, at least I do. I don't know.
I get. Oh, I'm back. Yeah, I get.
Yeah.
I get so bad. I get so bored with seeing the same pattern. Yes, conversation does help the algorithm a lot.
It's all about the algorithm.
Yeah. Facebook algorithms are killing everyone right now. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like when you're a tester, it's just realizing that it's not just what you're posting. It's not just like a straight up post and then you're done. I've seen sometimes people would like post and then you see a question underneath and they wouldn't answer the question. And you're like, this is your post. Answer a question. Yeah,
I've seen that.
Yeah, that frustrates.
I have been guilty of missing questions. Like maybe I would see the notification come through like immediately, but I was working or whatever. I wasn't able to stop and respond right away, and then it would get buried, and I'd forget about it. Right, out of sight, out of mind. And I think about it, and then I would see it like a day or two later, and obviously I would respond at that point. But yeah, I always felt really guilty. Anytime it didn't happen often, but it did happen.
Responded to by someone at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. It makes it hard when it's just forgotten. Or not forgotten, like just left completely. And I think that's the thing. It's but I think what else do we need to pros, cons, we've talked about pros, cons, we've talked about how to become a tester. And when you do become a tester, it's not making sure that you can stay on, but it's like making sure that you want to stay on and you want you like it. See how you, because I think that was one of the things when I did the sassy that I wish I could change. Oh, Darlene. One of the things that I wish I could have changed with my sassy test is, again, I'm an overthinker. I took too much time overthinking and stressing and not enjoying the process as much. One of the things, like, I don't know who here has made the sassy or know the sassy off by heart. I don't have one near me I can grab, but it's got the 3D panel. So, and at this stage,
I can grab mine.
Yeah, I've made 5 bags. I've made 6 bags. I don't know. I've not made a lot of bags. And this 3D panel was the most intense thing I've ever made in my life. Didn't even know. It's not a hard thing to do now. Like now I know how to do it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was literally a beginner bag maker. And I don't know if I made that super clear to Jassy or not. I don't know if I lied in my applying, but I don't know. And this is the test I was doing. And I was too scared to reach out to Jassy to tell her I couldn't do it. In hindsight, that was probably a good thing, because I think if I did reach out and I said I couldn't do it, I would have been like, I would have let myself talk myself out of doing it. The first sassy I made, and I stuffed out on that too. If ever you're testing a pattern, or if ever you're making a pattern and there's different sizes, always go with the big one first. Never go with the smaller one first. Idiot me not. That way I waste less fabric. If it didn't work out, always go with the bigger one first. It's easier to sew. I went with the petite first, and I redid that front panel. I don't know how many times, because I just couldn't get it perfect. And I'm like, all of these other testers are doing it. They're showing it. It looks gorgeous. Why is mine not nice? And being in the group motivated me to do it. But I also wish I reached out earlier and said to Jassy, hey, I don't know how to do this. Do you have any tips and hints? Because I think that would have made it a whole different, it just would have made me feel better. And I think that's one of the things very early on, if I could have tested it out and seen how that conversation flow goes. Like Nicole said before, like some designers don't allow conversation flow at all. But, if I had reached out first and trialed it, then I would have known, I could have asked for help and I could have gotten help. And I wouldn't have had to sit there and redo the same pattern, like the same thing 5 times.
Oh, so this is the first 3D sassy that I made. I've made many, many, many other sassies. That's the first 3D one that I made. And yeah, I had to redo that front panel a couple times. I ripped the lining on it. Like, that I don't know. I don't know if I could have tested this one.
Yeah, I think that's one of the pros/cons of testing, is like you feel like you're locked into it, so you have to do. So you push yourself to do stuff that you never would have thought. I would have given up on the sassy. Like straight up, I would have given up on the sassy if I wasn't testing. But because I was testing, that wasn't an option. Like it just, I had to.
I was this close to backing out of the Pandora lure. You know how much I struggled with that one.
Yeah. And I was like,
and literally every step, something went wrong. And now my mom,
you had a bad test on that one.
Oh, it was a terrible test. And it's not that, like, I do think that the bag is accurately rated at intermediate. Well, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. But
thanks, sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining, Nicole. But yeah, like
we talk a lot.
That particular one, if I hadn't been locked in as a tester, it would still be sitting here unfinished.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I don't know like it. So.
There was a bag that I hated. It wasn't a tester bag, but there was a bag. I'm not gonna name it because it's a well-known pattern designer. It's a well-known pattern. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of people have made it and never had a problem. But this bag,
I just didn't. That, but I don't believe that they didn't have problems.
That bag killed me, and I have never. I know lots of people say like, oh, we've got half finished bags. I've never had half finished bags. All my bags have always finished. I cannot. I'm the type of personality that if I start it, I have to finish it. I cannot, will not. I might give up and throw it in the bin and say like, let's pretend it never happened, but I won't leave a half finished bag sitting around, And that bag, like Nikki knows, Jassy probably knows as well, because I hated that bag. That was the first time that I had a half finished bag sitting in my room for like 2 weeks, because I was just like, I can't, if I even look at you, I'm going to throw you out the door. Like I cannot with you right now.
And it was a commission too. Like you had to finish it.
I had to finish it. I was I hated that bag. Hate it. Even now, I still I have nightmares. And do you know what? Like that happens sometimes. Like I'm gonna throw Jassy under the bus a little bit. I had that happen with, I think it was maybe my 3rd or 4th test. I don't remember which one it was, but it is and you'll see this a lot whenever people ask about backpack patterns. I can almost guarantee you, Nikki is going to throw out the tote pack. You'll see me recommend the fold and zip, and Jen will recommend the zip and go backpack.
The zip and travel. Yeah.
You will never see me recommend the zip and go backpack. Not because it's not a great pattern. It's actually a really great pattern. People love it. People love that one, I think, even more than the zip and the fold and zip, which like doesn't make sense in my head. This fold and zip is like superior in my head to every single backpack ever in the world. I love my fold and zip. But and the only reason
I agree, but I know that you will also always recommend it, so I have to recommend something different.
Yeah. And the only reason why that test sucked so badly for me was because I used the wrong fabric choice. And do you know what? I can't blame anyone but myself, because I asked Jassy, can I use PUL? Yes, I used PUL for a backpack on a bag.
I'm with you. Like, I can't believe that you used PUL on a backpack. And then there's Melena, who's like combining PUL with like all these other.
Yeah. And Melena's trying to tell us that she's a beginner. And I'm like, no, you're not. I almost gave up bag making after trying to make a backpack out of PUL.
Nicole, I'm so sorry about your industrial. That's got to be so frustrating.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Hopefully it's back soon.
Fingers crossed. I'm like, yeah, I would not be able to handle it. Yeah.
So you're telling me that you don't have like bags cut out waiting to be finished, like works in progress?
This is my work in progress at the moment. It's the newest test pattern that Sophisticated's doing right now. This is all I've cut. I'm sorry, Jassy, if you're watching. This is where I'm up to.
Oh, you've cut fabric.
Yeah,
oh, dear.
I'm ahead of you.
Yeah, you are. Okay, but to be fair, I also wasn't planning to start anything until today.
And then I told you to come on with me.
And then everybody's like, I've had some DN come through, and I'm like, okay, I at least need to get the pattern assembled. So the pattern is assembled. Anyway, I also cleared out a Doom box this weekend, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
But that also means that I uncovered just a few doll shirts that need to be sewn.
Yeah. But see, this is what I'm talking about, like with testing being all consuming, right? Like you want to get all of your other stuff done before you start testing, because once you start, that's it.
Yeah, and I can't, like, I need to put those to the side now. So I've got one shirt that I might finish before I actually start sewing this test, but maybe I'm likely to just set them to the side until testing is done.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's and like English.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah, I'll get there. Like I'm my worst enemy. I can't just test one and make one. Like we've all seen this. Like this one, I've told myself I'm only making one, and then the video, so two. I'm only making two, and I'm calling that out now. So if anyone expects more than two from me that you will see at this launch, don't, because I'm only making two. But I probably will make more. Because we just know I can't stop, right? Like, look at the Pandora Allure. Like, that one was a hectic make. And I made, how many did I make during the test? 4?
Dude, 4? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking for, because so this one never actually made it into the group. I don't think I ever actually posted it.
Oh, yeah, but the tiny one.
But so as frustrated as I was with the Pandora Allure and made that one, I actually made one as written, obviously, and then I call it the Pandora Allure Light, where it's just like that, the thicker gusset.
Yeah.
But I had enough cut to make like two. So yeah, I made just the thin gusset. So I'm like,
Just a thin
oh, this is
version.
such a cute like book
Because that's the
holder.
thing.
Like,
Like, so with your test, you're only allowed to, well, not you're only allowed to, you have to make your first one completely as per the
yeah,
pattern.
yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if all of us are the same. I assume we are. But as we're making it, we're all thinking, oh, I wonder if I can do this to it. I wonder if I can do this to it. And then you want to test it out, right? And I'm like, well, I'm
Yeah.
already in the testing period. I may as well test it out. So
Yeah, do not recommend this, by the way. Don't.
don't do super thin both sides.
No, because this gusset sucks.
Don't do
Yeah, yeah, that
oh,
was a challenge. That was a really big challenge. I don't ever want to make that again. But the thicker gusset, yes. I like the Pandora lure now. It was just a terrible test for me. Ugh.
yeah. I know a
So
bad
yeah, good
test
days, bad days.
can
That
really
was a
ruin a
bad
bag.
test.
Yeah. And that's like I said, the zip and travel backpack, I still haven't made it again. I will one day make it again because it is a good pattern. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like the zip and travel, when I spent a year traveling Scotland and Europe and everything. And like I had a bag just like the zip and travel. So I use those type of bags. Like I
Yeah.
know how good they are. It's just and I will say this, at the time in Australia, we couldn't get fabric that was right for it. So that's why I used PUL and I mean
And
I could have used canvas, but I didn't.
I would the only reason I made the one that I did is because I was striking for sophisticated supplies.
Yeah.
And I got fabric as part of my strike package, and I was like, oh, I can use this for this bag. Like,
Yeah,
this
right.
is perfect. And so that's what I did. And then, I talk about me being detail oriented and proofreading and all of that. And do you know, I completely missed that there were binding instructions for the zip and travel. So mine's birth.
No.
Yeah. So I have to
Oh
make it again because now that I know that there's binding instructions, I'm like, oh, I need to make this as a bound bag.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's the
Because
thing, like like Nikki's saying, like we're I don't want to say we're seasoned testers, but like we still make mistakes. Things still get missed. And like yesterday someone commented on like the group, like, hey, this piece doesn't look right on a pattern that's been around for ages. And I don't know how many of us have made the patterns and we all missed it. So if you ever see something missing in a pattern or something isn't right, reach out. Like, do let us know.
But I
We
think
all
that's true for any designer. Like it's better to let them know and let them decide how they're going to handle it. But
yeah.
that's me though too. Like I want to make sure that everyone is able to kind of put their best foot forward. I think I actually did that. That was a pattern and I reached out to Jessie and I was like, I think this measurement's off. And like, I don't know, 20 minutes later, I got the updated pattern's been updated email. I was like, oh,
Huh.
it was actually off. Okay.
Oh, that's
So
such a good
Jassie's like,
feeling, right? Like,
yeah, like she's so responsive to that kind of feedback. But I think there was another designer that I reached out to and they were like, okay. And I was
yeah.
like, all right.
There was one that I reached out to a while ago. I think you might know the bag that I've made that like the inside literally comes with nothing. And the instructions for pockets was go look somewhere else. And like I messaged the designer. I'm like, hey, like I know. Well, I emailed them because I didn't know them, so I didn't want to message them. I emailed them and I said like, hey, just a little bit of feedback as a consumer point of view. Like I love your pattern, love your bag, but like pockets should be part of a bag. Like it might be worthwhile putting the instructions as part of the instruction. I know it's available elsewhere, but it's just an extra step that I have to click to go da 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 to do. So, and I never heard back. Like, I would rather you have written back going, I don't agree with you, sorry. Or,
Yeah.
but yeah, like sometimes it's nice to just have acknowledgement. Thanks for
Love
joining,
having you, Nicole.
So yeah, I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I
All
think
that
like
does is create a barrier of entry for some, like, I don't know, just think of like when I was brand new to bag making and like trying to figure out how all this stuff fit together, and to have a part of it is to go look somewhere else. Like,
yeah, yeah, it's
mm,
hard, right?
mm,
And I think that's
mm-mm.
something like I don't know if maybe her testing group never brought it out, or maybe the designer just doesn't care. But like, I think if you are a tester, bring it up. If something doesn't sit right, bring it up. If something doesn't feel right, bring it up. It took me a long time to speak up, I think. Again, my personality, I get worried of offending people. I get worried about, you know. And so sometimes I don't speak up straight away. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like important to speak up.
Yeah,
That's one of the biggest things with, yeah, being a tester. Speak up, think
yeah.
about what you're doing. And I think maybe that should be my biggest thing. My biggest thing when you're being a tester is think. I know Nikki's laughing, but like,
Well, I'm laughing because for me, like, I know people get anxious about asking questions and coming across as
stupid.
stupid, and I hate using that word, but
Yeah,
that is, I mean, people are really afraid of coming across as stupid or um incompetent.
yeah,
And for me personally, the only stupid questions are the ones that are unasked. And
yeah,
I don't care if I have answered a question a million times, I will answer it a million and one.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
for me, it's about making sure that everybody has clarity and
Yeah,
understands what's going on and what expectations are. But that also, I mean, that's how I ran my team too. And like, I was very much big on just like open communication. If something doesn't make sense, let's talk
uh,
about it, ask
yeah.
questions, figure
I
it
think
out. And
that's
I,
the thing. It's, yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think, yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, think. My biggest one really is think because there is nothing that irks me more. And like, I am not a pattern designer, but obviously I've helped Jassy a few times here and there. Not with the designing side. That has nothing to do with me. That ain't me. But like with the tester selection and testers, there is nothing worse than pretending to be something you're not as a tester when you're
yeah,
applying or as a tester. So if
yeah,
you are a brand new bag maker, don't lie and say you're experienced. If you are like, if you, and like, this isn't like, if you say that you only work with certain types of fabric, don't go into the group and then suddenly start working with different types of fabric because that doesn't make sense.
yeah, yeah. We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Um, my thing is communication. I'd rather have somebody over communicate than under communicate.
Yes. That's the thing. Like, if you can't do something for whatever reason, let's say you said yes to being in a test, you got chosen, you said yes, you're in the test, something happened,
Like
message,
getting laid off.
yeah, like getting laid off. Like, just tell someone. Like, I obviously, like,
Yeah,
you get laid off. Your first thing isn't, I'm going to let Jassy know I got laid off. Like, that's not your first point of
yeah.
call. Like, you have to process and whatever. But tell
No,
someone.
but yeah, like, and this is my personal experience. That's why I'm kind of laughing about it because I
Yep,
was in the
sorry, I'm not
middle of the
making fun of people
Zaryan
getting
War.
laid off during a test.
No, no, no. I was in the middle of the Zaryan War test, and I think I got laid off like right when testing kicked off, and I really tried to push through. I tried to. Yeah, it's still sitting on my shelf, half finished. When I finally like messaged Jassy, like, hey, I can't like. I do not have the mental capacity to test right now. Like I'm trying to take care of too many other things, wrap up loose ends, figure out everything else that's happening in my life with the fact that I just lost my job as the primary earner in our family. So there was a lot going on at that time, and Jassy was wonderful. She understood. I think at one point even like mentioned to you, Sam, like that she's like, what took so long? Like,
Yeah.
like she fully expected me to back out sooner. But I felt like I had committed, I had an obligation, and I really tried to push through and it wasn't working. It really just was not working.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, so like that one is sitting there half finished. That's why I have to laugh at works in progress because like I have a Zarian War, I have a Snap and Go Duffel, I have a Snap and Go Tote, I've got like 5 Luna Petites, like 3 Sassy Petites, 2
I
Sassy
could not live
Regular,
like that.
3 Luna Regular. Like,
I am
yeah,
like a start to finish kind of girl. I'm like, if I cut the fabric, it's done before I cut the next one.
yeah, I can't. I just
No.
like I really tried like this time like in between the tests and whatnot and striking like I've really tried to like okay, let's finish things up, and then I keep finding more. So apparently this is like a chronic thing. I actually have a full box of like cut out doll clothes, so this stack here is no, like that's nothing new.
Oh my God. I could not. I could not. But yes, like we were saying.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
but over
Getting,
communicate.
yeah. And, and like, I mean, again, this is a sophisticated craft thing. Not all pattern, not all
Yeah,
testing is the same, but most testing will
that's true.
have the designer and admins of some sort. So if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to the designer first or directly, always reach out to at least one of the admin, talk to someone.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's as simple as I need someone to talk through. Maybe you got stuck in a step that you got scared. Never ghost. I cannot say this enough. There are so many people that ghost,
don't ghost.
literally just disappear. And you're like, why? Like, it's not that hard. Like, maybe they're embarrassed, maybe because you have made a commitment, right? Like, it is hard to jump out of a commitment. But on the other side, it's other human beings. Like, they
Yeah,
understand. So if you are going through something, they understand. Sometimes you might not want to talk about it yet. So you don't have to talk about the full extent. You can just say, hey, I'm really sorry. Something's come up that wasn't expected. And I just cannot right now.
like
And like,
I know we actually had a test where somebody appeared to have ghosted, but they were in the hospital.
yeah,
And I know that they reached out to me. I believe they also reached out to Jassy, but I know they reached out to me and let me know, like, I am so sorry. Like, I just got home. I
hi,
was,
Holly.
hi. I was in the hospital because of X, Y, and Z, and I didn't, like, I couldn't do anything, like, couldn't message or anything like that. So, um, yeah, so even if it's after the fact, like, when she was in the hospital, there were medical issues going on. She wasn't able to reach out
Yeah,
until she got home, and then she did. And yeah, was it frustrating? Of course. That's human nature. You're going to be frustrated. But at least now there's some understanding with what happened
yeah,
and less likely to kind of hold it against somebody if they happen to apply in the future.
yeah.
Like sometimes you can't help what's going
No.
on. So,
And that has happened. Like, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure there's been testers that, like, for whatever reason have had to drop out. Obviously, like, you're a mod, you're a little bit different, but like even other testers where they've had to drop out for
Yeah.
whatever reason and they've communicated it and they're still invited back for the next test. Like, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not just the finishing, like how your bag looked at the end. It's not just about that. It's about whether you drilled with the group as a group, whether what you contributed was good. So like, don't ever feel like you can't communicate or you've stuffed up an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, because it's all about communication, really, at the end of the day.
I
Um,
actually had that happen with the peony card slots.
yeah,
That was before I was a mod. So like that had kicked off, and then I don't. remember what happened. Something happened.
Yeah.
And I just reached out to Jassy and I'm like, look, I'm really sorry. I know I committed to doing this. This is what's going on. I, I don't, I won't be able to
Yeah.
finish. Um, and like, obviously don't make a habit of it. If it
Yeah.
happens all the time, then like, well,
Yeah.
that's suspect and nope, sorry.
Yeah. But
But
there's understanding there. And like I think that's the thing, it's
exactly.
always communicate, like, and again, different designers have different rules, like
Yeah.
everyone has different things. Like Jassy, for example, one of her big things is she doesn't want other pattern designers in the test group. And it's as simple as that. And like sometimes people lie about it, they get caught out, and it's just bad. It's just bad. The bag making rule, it's so small. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Don't lie about it. But then there's other people that straight up say, hey, this is what I've done,
Mm-hmm.
or I've been involved in something similar to this, and you can talk through it, you can have a conversation. But when you straight up lie, oh no, I'm not a pattern designer, or I'm not planning on, and then do a test to call out 2 days later. Come on, we're not idiots. Like,
oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it? It's fun. But
it's great. It's fun. It's great.
Yeah. Another thing, it's just keep trudging along. Like Holly, for example, I genuinely, in my head, like Holly's just said hi, so she's top of mind. I genuinely thought Holly was a tester for Sophisticated for a lot longer than what she actually was, because she's so active in the Sophisticated group, and like I see her name all the time. So in my head, I'm like,
how long has Holly been testing for Sophisticated? Because I think I'm similar to you. Like,
yeah, I don't think Holly's actually been testing for that long. I think like maybe from like Pandora Lore. I don't know if Holly's still there, but like Holly's not actually been testing.
there's
for that
a delay too.
So. Like really, like she's really good at keeping top of mind because she's always around, and that's the type of thing you want. Like, because again, and I think this is where a lot of people go wrong with testing calls.
No, you don't get to know which one was her first. Sorry.
That's one of the big things with testing calls, and I bring it back to the testing calls again. Oh yeah, see, this is only second test. See, like she's not actually been doing that many.
I don't believe you.
So like, yeah, be front of mind. People forget. Like people think, oh, it's people have favoritism and like whatever. And yes, like I'm sorry to say it. Yes, there is favoritism. If I know who you are, I am more likely to look at you again. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it is a little bit of who you know, what you like.
How about networking?
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, testing isn't just about testing the bag to see if your instructions work. It's about promoting. Promoting is the biggest part of testing. And I think maybe that's where the confusion comes. Maybe we shouldn't be calling it pattern testing. We should be calling pattern promoting. Because that's because that's the biggest thing. It's and like if I remember your name, then there's a reason why I remember your name, because you show up enough. And if you show up enough, that means you'll be a good promoter. In my head.
Yeah, I think it's really pattern testing really is 3 skill sets. 4 actually, right? So obviously sewing, copy editing, proofreading.
Yeah.
So proofreading most primarily, photos, and copywriting, right? So like promotion.
Yeah.
And like I know, so you have 4 areas that are really a focus, and not everybody has strengths in all of those areas, but we all have the ability to get better and to at least get adequate, right? So like if photos are your weak point, reach out in the tester group and say, how can I improve my photos? What can I do? Is there lighting? Is there software? Is there, like whatever. If writing your social media posts is an issue, reach out.
Yeah.
Say, hey, okay, like at every group I've been in where I've had to do promo, there is literally a wall of text of information to pick and choose from.
Yeah.
And if you're having problems narrowing down what to pick and choose, reach out in the group.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, what are the most important things that I can focus on that align with the bag that I've made, with the photos that I've taken?
Yeah.
And, and we can help either narrow things down, we can help write posts, we have people of all abilities that are in the testing group. And this is for sophisticated, but most groups, whether you're testing or striking, you're going to have people with all abilities. So if you're stuck, just ask.
And I'm the first one to put my hand up for this. I almost every single test, especially if it's a rectangular bag, you will see me at some point say, show me your photos, because I get stuck with angles. Like I said before, like I am front, back, open, done. That's my photos. And then anything else, I'm like, why? Like, who am I? What? No. Like, it makes no sense to me. And I can't. And then I look at like other people's photos and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, I like that. And then I try to recreate it because I am not that way. Like, my mind, obviously we're all creative, but I am not that way creative. I cannot see.
Mm-hmm.
I can only see straight on. I am a very square person. Like, don't break me out of my square. Like, so I am very.
So for you are very firmly in the box.
Yeah, I am, and I need someone to like show me how to like do that out of box thinking. Those out of box photos I can't do. Like, one of my favorite photos I've done is of my lunas, and it's my little luna is sitting on top of my big luna. And I've also done one where the two lunas are like kind of into each other.
Yeah.
And they're like some of my favorite photos I've done of the luna. But I didn't take those photos as like actual photos. I took those photos as a joke. I took it as a joke and I edited them. I went, oh, this actually looks kind of cool. Sent it in to have a look at. And Jess is like, oh, these are really cool. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Because you do have a design eye.
No, I really don't. I am so, I don't want to say I'm boring, but I am the spreadsheet girl. Yeah. I am the person who like straight lines. Like, if you tell me to draw a paint, like to color in, I am coloring in within the lines, just on that outside first, right on the line first before I go. I am not like freehanding it. That is not happening here.
I mean, I'm not that way either. I also love a good spreadsheet. Yeah. But sometimes there just isn't a box. And you're like, oh my God, what do you mean there's no box?
Put me back in my box. No, there's always a box there. You just can't see it.
Nah.
Oh, it's so bad. Oh,
yeah. I know. And I get into that rut though too. Like, all of my photos, I've realized over the past couple weeks as I've been trying to take photos and uploading to my website and whatnot, and they're all the same.
and that's not a nod at you. It's a nod at me as well. It's you like, get comfortable. So
yes, that.
I think that's the hardest thing. It's trying to, and I think that's where like the people who are really good at photos are like, they're just a different type of person. Like, they're able to see the beauty and that we can't see, and they're able to see like different things that we can't see. And I told you, I'm a straight on kind of person. Show me what's in the bag.
Yeah, I've tried incorporating more reels. And I think you've kind of tried incorporating more reels as well, but we all know that, Facebook is not the biggest fan, which is so weird because they
So
push it.
yeah, yeah, they're pushing reels, but reels are not prioritized. If you try and do a reel, it goes down. And then I learned this the hard way. Reels count as advertising in some groups, so you're not allowed to post them in some groups.
Is that why I've had videos declined
Yeah,
without any info?
yeah,
Yeah, I was going through some bag making groups recently just to kind of clear up my list because I'm the type of person that has a spreadsheet of groups that I'm in so that I can figure out where I'm posting what.
yeah.
Um, but I was going through my spreadsheet of groups to try to figure out, like, okay, where have I posted? Where have I not posted? Where have I seen engagement, not engagement? And I think I've got like 6 or 8 groups on my spreadsheet that literally no posts in those groups
Mm,
have engagement.
yeah,
The only ones that do are other people who are advertising the same thing.
yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Um, but yeah, so I went through and as I was going through some of them, I came across where like posts had been declined that I never got notified.
Yeah,
I'm like, great, why was this declined? Like I didn't even know it was declined.
yeah. Couldn't have done anything if I didn't know. Yeah,
Right.
it's Facebook is getting harder. Facebook is getting harder and
Yeah.
harder, and like we're having to work harder and harder. And I think
Yeah.
that's where it's at. It's yeah. So I think what you said was right at the start. Get your engagement up. I think that's going to be the next thing that
Yeah.
designers are looking for. People who have good engagement across the socials. I'm just trying to show my face there. And good photos. And like good photos, like
Yeah.
the word good photos is so intimidating, but it's really not hard. Like I don't know, maybe do I need to do a video? But if I do a video, I'm going to go on my high horse again about rolling out the seams. Like, but
I
yeah,
mean, I don't see an issue with that, but 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 I know like you and I have different styles of photos.
yeah.
So obviously your tutorial and my tutorial would be different and would have different results,
Oh, I wouldn't be
but
talking
I
about
think
editing.
but they would still be high quality, right?
Yeah,
So
and I think that's the
oh
thing.
you
It's
and yeah,
yeah,
you would be talking about like the pre-photo
the
work.
pre-photo because to me that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. But again, that's my real estate background coming in because like I used to
No, that's also retail merchandising.
yeah.
That's like
It's anything that's ever had to advertise, right? Like if your
yeah,
original product doesn't look good, it doesn't matter how well your photos are. It's
like this bag is stuffed.
it's still stuffed. And
All of them are. Every single bag in my studio at the moment is stuffed.
yeah, like I get how excited you are when you finish back. I get it. I really do. Like just before Christmas,
Yeah.
Nikki saw my order whiteboard. She saw how many custom makes I had. And like I would get an order
I was
finished.
exhausted.
I would get an order finished and I wouldn't even send a photo to the client until it sat overnight stuffed. Like
Yeah.
it's so easy to just because if I send that photo, that order's done. I can wipe it off the board. But I could not let myself do that because yeah, it's part of it. And I think it frustrates me so much. Like I don't want to get my high horse too much. It frustrates me so much because you just spent 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, however long making this bag. And then on the final bit, which doesn't take more than 5 minutes, it's just literally pushing out those corners, rolling out that sleeve, those sleeves, ironing it a little bit if you need to, stuffing it. That's where you stop. And it annoys me even more when you then look at the photos and you can see what's missing. You can see that's the only step missing. And you see beautiful top stitching, but that because that to me says to me as someone who's looking for a tester, which I'm just helping, but as someone looking at reasons to say yes or to say no to you, you are telling me that you don't care about the details. Like you're literally telling
Yeah.
me in a photo. And so it
Yeah,
frustrates.
no, I get that. I actually had a bag that I did. It was for a strike, not a test. It wasn't. It was a strike, and I had seasoned bag makers messaging me asking how I got crisp edges on that bag.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all the bags that are made from that pattern, most of them have kind of the rolled in
Yeah.
edges. And they're like, how did you get your edges so crisp? And I was like, I stuffed the bag. And they were like, you're joking. No, like you literally stuff it like into the
Yeah.
seams, roll them out, stuff it down in there, get it like nice and tight so that it can sit right. And they had no idea. No
No.
idea. And these are seasoned bag makers. Like to me, that was like such an obvious thing, but
Some people
apparently it's
don't know.
not.
No, some
Yeah.
people don't know. And but like it's one thing to not know, and I think that's where it annoys me. It's one thing to not know. It's one thing to not try to make it better. Because we all of us started off not knowing, right? And you either search for answers or you trial and error till you find a
Yeah.
fit. And I think that's where I get frustrated. But again, that's my high horse. That's my bag making high horse. That's my one high horse that I will not come down from. It frustrates me, and Nikki knows I get so frustrated by it. I really do.
You do. You do. And I laugh because yes, you do.
I can forgive a lot of things. I can not. I forgive top stitching. I forgive everything, but that I can't forgive. It annoys me. I know how much time and effort goes into it. Why stop at the last hurdle?
I think people just don't realize that it improves the presentation that much.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's everything is about the presentation when you are applying to be a tester. You are trying to present everything as best as you can. And like sometimes it's really, especially with Facebook, because things go missing. So I know sometimes you're just like, you see the posts, the call for tester posts. So I'm going to apply right now. And you just get whatever photos are on your phone. And sometimes it works for you. Most of the time, I'm telling you now, it won't. So take the time, choose the photos carefully, really think about it. Photos are even more important than words, but your words are also important. People that don't bother commenting and just post photos, that annoys me too.
Well, it depends on what the requirements are.
Yeah.
If there aren't any requirements of tell me something, then all they're looking for is the photo side. And maybe that's a hole that they're looking to fill in their tester group.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they have a core test group that photos are not the strong point. So they're looking for somebody who does have photos as a strong point. But it's also likely that they'll also want to know something about you. Like so then it's important to have both, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know. It's like you said, like with the wrinkles and stuff, like if you're sewing a shirt and you're going to send a picture of a shirt, are you going to send it all wrinkled from like being made, or are you going to iron it first or steam it?
I iron it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, everything must be. I'm not like I'm making it sound like I am like a crazy perfectionist. I'm not. I swear I'm not. Look at my room. I'm a mess. But there's some things that I'm just like, it's such
I'm like,
an easy thing.
but you can't say look at my room and have this like perfectly like procured background. Like it's a mess. What are you talking about?
Is that better? I have bags hiding my mess, okay?
Nope, that's smart. Oh yeah, and I just recently, so like if you're looking at wanting to apply to be a tester, consider organizing your photos. So like if you know that that's something that you want to do, and we know that photos are a big part of it, which we do, consider organizing your photos into an album of like your best work. Um, I actually went through my own photo album. So this is like I get kind of neurotic with some things with organization and that because I actually created albums for each pattern that I make.
Oh wow.
And so I was getting frustrated because I couldn't find photos for patterns that I was recommending to people. And I'm like, I know I made this big and I know I have a nice photo of it and I couldn't find it. So yeah, I actually have albums on my phone for each pattern that I make. So now I can very quickly and easily go through and select them. So yeah. But if you have like, I don't know, 5 to 10 bags that you've made that you love how they look, maybe they're slightly different styles, create an album of just that, and then it's easier to quickly apply rather than having to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll,
Yeah.
scroll, scroll, and scroll.
And that's another thing with the photos. So, like, if there is a limit on how many photos, try and switch them up. Don't show the same thing constantly because you don't know what the
Yeah,
people that are looking for testers are looking for. So, like,
yeah,
I'm not saying switch up the style. So, like, if all you make is floral bags, that's fine. Leave them as all floral bags, but switch up. Don't have the same pattern twice. Definitely don't have the same pattern twice. Like, use different
yeah.
patterns. Use different, like, so you,
Like put in
yes,
a backpack and a
yeah,
crossbody and a handbag
yeah.
or like, yeah,
So there's some point of difference because sometimes that's what it is. That's going to like
yeah.
like hi Ollie. Like
Welcome
right
back.
now, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about the new test, but right now we're testing a pattern. We know that. And I'm just gonna say right now the pattern we're testing is a tote. Said it, it's out there. Everyone knows. So I'm not gonna lie, when I was looking for testers, anyone who showed a tote automatically caught my eye first. Obviously, you wouldn't have known that as as someone applying to be a tester, but that's just what happens. Like it's human
Yeah,
nature, right? Like because that's what I'm
good
looking
for
to fill
you.
the gap for. That's what I'm looking for.
Good
Huh?
for you, because that made no difference for me.
Made no difference to you, but it made a difference to
No,
me.
did not
And
make
like,
one iota of difference for me.
but like that's the thing, like about ticking all those boxes, right? Is trying to appeal
Yeah,
to most people because you are. I mean, I don't know how many people choose in every single designer. Like some designers might literally
yeah,
just be just the designer herself. Some might be multiple people. But even if it is just the designer, do you know the designer well enough to just make sure you
yeah,
grab their attention? So if you have a variety, so if you had like a crossbody, a tote, a duffel, or like you're showing a wider range of skills, right? So
yeah. For me, it's about the photos themselves and the potential.
yeah,
So even though you may not have the most polished photos, or you may not have the most stellar photos, you're still showing your eye for design photography. And so for me, that's what I look at is do you take great photos and do you have the potential to take great photos?
yeah,
Um, and then from there, it's figuring out are they open for feedback on improving their photos?
and that's where my high horse comes back in. I am okay if you have bad editing. I am not okay with wrinkly bags.
But if they don't know,
They
like if
don't
nobody
know.
tells them, right? Like if nobody tells you, "Hey, you submitted this photo and I just want to let you know like you can see the wrinkles, you can see that the seams aren't rolled out. You can see like these are the things that were not necessarily the best showcase of
Yeah,
your work that are relatively easy fix immediately after the bag is done."
yeah,
If nobody provides that feedback, it's
it's
hard
hard.
to expect it. So, like, that's where I have a little bit more leeway, I think,
Yeah.
than you do.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm more likely to reach out to him and be like, "Hey, I love this bag. I love the work. I love the stitching." Like, that's all great. What I'm noticing is these couple extra steps at the end, and if that can be fixed, cool. Then
Yeah.
we're good. And if not, well, sorry. Moving on. Like,
And I think that's where like you and I like are different, which is great. Is that
yep.
I've had like I've tried to be nice and like give someone feedback not unwanted, but like feedback that wasn't
Uh,
asked for, and then
no,
I got my head
unsolicited
chewed off.
feedback is never appropriate. Like, you can ask if they're open to feedback, and if they say yes,
Yeah,
then provide feedback.
yeah,
I have learned over the course of my design career that
just don't give
unless
feedback.
they, because you have to be in the right headspace to
Yeah,
receive it.
yeah, yeah. And
So,
that's the thing. I'm like, yeah, like in my head straight away, I'm thinking of like a post that I saw recently that like asked for feedback. I gave feedback, and I had my head chewed off, and I'm like, never giving feedback again.
oh, that's not good.
And like it wasn't mean. Like I'm never mean. You know me. Like I am.
No,
When I say I'm
no,
being mean, I'm like, there's less pleases
no,
and
you're
thank
not.
yous in it. I'm like, oh, I am. Yeah, I
No.
don't know how to be mean. Oh, and check out other mango
Yeah.
sweaters. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the thing. It's like we all want to help new bag makers. We want to help bag makers starting, but you need to show initiative as well. It's
Right.
show initiative, but show us that you're willing to have initiative. Because, like, I mean,
Well,
we've
my
always,
thing.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I was always happy to give like new people a go, and also like I know like Nicole before was really worried about her photos not being good enough, and that's why she doesn't apply for the bigger designers. And I think there's always, if you show us that you're willing to learn, if you show us that you're willing to like, because you and I, we've talked about this, like how much we value like the written words too. Like
Yeah.
we've had people where like her photos aren't the best, but like she sounds really like she sounds like someone
Yeah,
we
she's
want to.
funny, she's engaging, like,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
But no, what I was gonna say too though is, like, if you apply to be a tester and you're not selecting, you can always reach out to ask for feedback. You might not get it,
yeah,
but if you do, you're getting feedback that's only going to help you going forward. I
definitely.
mean,
Like
I think, like, if you reach out to me or you, like, I think you're likely to get some feedback. But I know some designers, or, modmins
yeah,
or whatever, are not
just don't.
necessarily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
And
the thing.
then,
Yeah, like this test core was really hard. Like the one that we're testing right now, that tester core was really hard because I like I know there was one person that everyone wanted, we all wanted, but we couldn't have. And I don't
right.
know if anyone's actually reached out because I don't know if we're allowed to reach out because like there's that, can we reach out to people who haven't asked to be reached out? But like there's other
Yeah.
things that might not just be because it sometimes not being chosen to be a tester isn't because of you. It's not because you're not good enough, your sewing's not good enough, your photos aren't good enough. It's not because of you. There could be other things. And like sometimes like this might sound so petty, but it could even be that we have too many testers from this region, or there is too many testers that already make bags in this style, so we wanted something different. It's not a
Hmm.
reflection on you. So I want to make that very clear because I don't want anyone to like apply to be
Yeah.
a tester, didn't get it, and think I'm not good enough. A lot of the time it's not you.
Well, and yeah, that's where, if you want to know,
Yeah.
ask. And
Yeah.
and if we can say, we will.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
mean, like, that's how I feel. I think you're on the same boat. So
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Holly, I know you more than 2.
See, you knew it. Like, yeah, there was the bee hip. I do remember your bee hip. Like, and yeah, because I was like, I know definitely Pandora Laura. I feel like you were, and then yeah. See, it's more than 2. Anyway, we've been talking for 3.5 hours. I think we've covered everything. I think we've covered more, or maybe we haven't covered everything. But how's everyone feeling? Anything else you want us to talk about with testing and testicles? And again, like everything we've said isn't just limited to one designer or anything. It is to everything. Like we've both applied to be testers with other designers before. We've both been testers for other designers before. We've both decided we don't want to be testers for certain designers.
Yeah.
We've all done it. So yeah. Oh, the lure is a great bag. I love the Pandora lure. I still have to make the one I want to make for my mom that I said was going to be her Christmas present that I still haven't done, but it will happen one day.
Yeah, I know my mom asked me for a bag too. She said tester call, but I also heard testicle, by the way.
Oh, really? Sorry.
And you made fun of me for my accent. I'm just saying.
It sounds very different. Testicle and testicle, right? Like that's different, right?
I mean, yes, it's different, but it's not so very different.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Well, that must put PG rating very quickly.
It's all right. Yeah, no, my mom asked me. So like, it was like the week before Christmas. We got together with my parents and one of my sisters, and my mom and my sister both were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, so could you make me a bag?"
No, I cannot. Go away.
I was like, "Sure, what do you want?"
Oh no. Oh.
So I need to bring my mom, and it was awful because they were here on Christmas Day, and I completely forgot to grab my Pandora lure. I want to make sure my mom likes it.
Yeah. Before you do it.
Before I make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I made my mom. Yeah, I've said this before. She's got the regular sassy. She loves it. Loves it. So I am slightly worried to do the Pandora Allure because obviously, like, it's a more rectangular shape. But that's the style that she used to like. She used to use a more rectangular shape before I made her the sassy. So I feel like it's just going back to her roots of what she likes.
Yeah.
So.
And my mom normally carries like a crossbody zipper on the top, front zipper
Yeah.
pocket or 2, inside zipper pocket or 2. Like, I mean, it's kind of your basic crossbody bag. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even own a pattern for that. Like, I've never made that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you know what I like. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's the worst. I don't know what you like.
I'm not
Just
doing
tell me.
Oh, but
okay.
yeah.
We should probably start heading off because I've cut 2 pieces of this tester bag and you haven't cut any yet.
And it's after 10 o'clock at night. So.
Yeah, so it's bedtime for me. Oh, wait, no, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here.
Oh, that's nap time for me, man. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, post lunch.
I can't nap. I need to deal with Kian. He's been quiet for too long now, so I don't know what's happened to him.
Oh yeah. So kind of like what is it? The jazz tote, but like as a purse.
Yeah. Yeah, like the jazz tote, but smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the top is its own, and then you have a bottom compartment too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm in Florida.
Yeah, House of the Mouse.
House of the Mouse.
House of the Mouse.
Yeah.
See, I don't understand. I don't understand PA. Like, what's PA? Give me the full name. What's PA? Oh, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Oh. I almost went to Pennsylvania for Halloween that year that I was overseas.
You almost
Almost thought
out,
about
man.
it. Didn't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
We are actually leaving. No more talking.
Okay.
Shush all
All
of
right.
you.
All right.
See, I've been talking for too long. I'm going delirious.
Yes. I need to go get some water because apparently I don't have any in my office. So
Yeah, I thought about it this time.
good for you.
But we are going to head off. If you have any questions about testing or becoming a tester or anything, leave them in the comments below. Subscribe to both myself and Nikki Resin Melody. Otherwise, you'll find us on Facebook. We're always on Facebook. So yeah, feel free to message Nikki nonstop with all your photos and tell her to comment on them.
Make sure you send all your immediately completed photos.
No,
don't
roll
wait.
out those handles
Hot
before
off
you
the
send the
machine.
bags to me.
Send
No
bags
wrinkly
to
bags. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.